Hello and welcome back to the Game Dev Show. I'm here with Andrew and Hassan. Today we're going to be talking about a couple interesting game dev topics and matching up people with game dev mastermind groups. So if you wanted to get into a group, make sure that you say hi, let us know in chat. We're going to go through that in probably about an hour. We'll start going through that process. I'll explain what it's like, maybe an hour and a half, and then let everybody get into it, and we'll start building up these game dev mastermind group. So welcome everybody in chat. Welcome Andrew, Hassan. I want to just let you guys say hello and we'll get going.
Hello.
Hello. What's up, everybody?
So you guys both had two things I think that are worth announcing this week. You've got a brand new video on the end. You want to tell everybody what that is, and I'll pull it up real quick and we'll share it.
Sure. Yeah, so we just released the third episode of Let's Playtest, where we play this game called AK-xolotl, which is currently on Kickstarter. It's a really awesome game. They got funded in just under 4 hours. They got like 40K in 4 hours, and they're now sitting at over 120K. It's pretty awesome. So we asked them for the demo of the game, and we played it and gave our design feedback. So, it starts with the Let's Play, gets into feedback, and then we brainstorm like some fun ideas. So check it out and let me know what you think of the feedback. And if you have feedback for them, leave it in the comments as well.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of money to make in
it's
an
crazy.
Hour. 4 hours.
It's insane.
Definitely, I'd say that's going to be a hit, and probably a good example of what to do versus what not to do. Because if you're making that much in your campaign that fast, you're definitely doing it right. So I think it's
doing
awesome.
Something right. Check out their Kickstarter. I mean, they asked for 15,000. They didn't ask for anywhere near as much, but they ended up with they're over 120K, and they haven't even hit their last few days. And usually, you know how it is on Kickstarter, right? You have like a spike right at the beginning and then a spike at the end. So they haven't even hit that spike at the end. So I'm wondering where it's gonna go when they're done. Pretty excited for them. It's nice to see this because you don't see as many like Kickstarter success stories anymore, I think, or they're not as public maybe anymore. I'm not sure.
I haven't
for video games. Yeah. You haven't, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the last one we did, it did not succeed. So this is
it's cool. Tougher. It's not what it used to be. I think the landscape, but yeah, it worked out. I mean, the game is really fun. It's kind of like if you're into like Enter the Gungeon or Nuclear Throne. It's in the vein of those kinds of games, but it's got its own twist. So it's pretty cool. Some multiplayer components coming up too.
Nice. And Andrew, you had a new Scorpion pack, right?
I do have a new Scorpion pack, a low poly one. We've converted the low poly Scorpion. We've got the spiders coming soon. I just need to figure out what the animation frames on that one. That one, it's fine. It's just I couldn't figure out what the animation frames because we moved from 3 spiders in the high fidelity 1-to-1, and I wasn't sure which animation frames. So that will be coming soon as well. But the Scorpion got released, and that's part of the bundle too.
This looks great.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the low poly character bundle.
Yep, number 2. Sweet. It's a 6th character in that one.
Okay, well, I think both of those are linked down below, the Scorpion and that. Oh, and Hassan's video too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely. Andrew, how do you choose what like model is gonna go up next? I'm curious.
Well, in this case, somebody on the Discord said, "When's the spiders coming?" And so I said, "All right, let's make the spider." We do 2 at a one, 2 at a time. I send 2 over to the guy who's been doing the conversions. And then he does 2 at a time. And so I try to mix a more complicated one with a less complicated one. In this case, the spider was the more complicated one. A lot more blend shapes, a lot more small parts. The eyes are modular, can be moved on and off with blend shapes and stuff. It's some cool stuff there. And the Scorpion was a little less complicated than that. The next 2 I sent him are the Weeper statue, which if you know the Weeper statue from my series, it's a lot very complicated. It's mostly just a big robe. And then the goblins, which are much more complicated because they have wardrobe and faces and stuff like that. So those are the next 2 that will come after that.
Oh, that's exciting.
Man, you have a lot of my stuff. Not enough though. There's too much not great out there, Jason.
That's because a lot of it that I have is on companies that I got my bosses to pay for.
Yeah. Plus, I think I just uploaded some content to one of the projects too. So
See, I think Dave might be ready to hop in and join us as well.
Hey, Dave.
Hello.
He's there.
Oi, oi. How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Going over there, Dave.
Good. All good.
Nice sunny LA weather again.
Always. Yeah. I'm in a t-shirt. It's first thing in the morning. It's gorgeous weather. Right by the beach. Can't complain.
It is definitely one of the benefits there. It was interesting. I was seeing, I saw a post a couple days ago. I wish I could find it. It was about, it showed a map, like this little tiny 3-mile triangle right by your house.
Oh, yeah.
And it said that 5 of the #1 social media apps were all created within that 3-mile triangle. I was like, oh, sounds about right.
Because LA people are all the most conversational, polite, wonderful people there are.
Yep, they're all very
Yeah.
polite.
That
Yeah.
must be it.
Yeah, that's the one. They're all just so social.
I have no experience.
sure.
Like, can't tell if sarcasm or not because I have not been to LA.
We
They
just
all
need
love
to
knowing
share
what-
where we need to share where the best avocado toast is as quickly as possible.
At all
everybody
times?
creates a social app to basically
While also
pass
implying
across.
that I'm doing it and I am special and you need to know what I'm doing. LA is a wonderful place.
It is. It is.
So there was a question in the chat about the mastermind groups, and I want to talk about them for just a minute before we talk about other things and then jump back over to them. So the mastermind groups, first off, the question here was, do they cost money? No, it's going to be totally free. It was something that somebody had asked me to do a couple months ago. I thought it would be small scale. There'd be like 20 people that wanted to do it, and it would take me like an hour, and I would just knock it out. And then I put it up, and like 500 people signed up. So we're going to do it at as big of scale as possible, get maybe 100 people in there, and then match make as many as possible and make the groups. Somebody was asking what the groups are. And I wanted to talk about this not just to everybody, but with you guys as well. But let me just briefly explain what the groups are, why they would exist, and why you might want to join them. And then I think it might be interesting to just have a little discussion. But the way that they work is, you just find a group of other developers or people doing a similar thing. There's groups like this for all kinds of different stuff, from every different type of business aspect to hobby and other things. When it comes to game development, what I recommend is finding a group of other game developers who are around the same skill level as you, maybe a little bit better, a little bit worse. You're never going to be exactly the same, but not where you're like too far apart, but you've got similar skill levels and somewhat similar but different goals, where you're working on different things, but you've got kind of the same end level goal. You're building a game, maybe you're building a 2D game, you're building some application, you're building the same kinds of things. And what you do is get together with this group of people. Just what I prefer and recommend is once a week for a single hour. Just limit it at an hour. You can always talk longer if you want to, but it's limited at an hour once a week, and just regularly meet with them and talk about a couple of things. First is what the kind of goals that you've got for the week are. So if you got game dev related goals, and briefly talk about like what the goals are. The thing that I want to get done this week is this. And if you have questions or thoughts like, but I'm not sure how to do this, good time to bring it up and say, but I'm not quite sure how I would want to do this one thing. And if you're in there with a group of, 3, 4, 5 other game developers that you meet with regularly, they're going to be able to give you some advice or probably point you in the right direction. Doesn't happen for 100% of the stuff, but like 75 to 90% of the things, somebody in there will probably have an idea on kind of where to go. And then what we usually do is go through a round of this for each person in the group. They'll go through what it is they're working on, anything that they're kind of stuck on, almost like a company scrum, but more relaxed, a little bit slower, and more big overarching stuff, because you're all working on totally different things. You're not necessarily diving into like some very specific technical problem, though sometimes you're helping each other with that. And then the other benefit that you get from this, aside from being able to run ideas past people and get thoughts from it, is the accountability of next week you're going to show back up and you're going to say that this was the stuff that you wanted to do, and everybody's going to be talking and showing the things that they did, and you're going to feel at least a little bit of obligation to try to put in the effort to get stuff done. Obviously, not every time you're going to get shit done. It just doesn't always happen, but it's going to really kind of help push you to get more things done. At least that's what it does for me. That's what it does for everybody that I know that's in one. So that's why I think everybody should join in. It's very low. I would say it's low maintenance. It's an easy thing to get into. There's not a lot of work involved. All you got to do is show up once a week and just be open and talk to that small group of people. And eventually you'll probably become pretty close friends, and it turns into all kinds of other cool stuff. So I highly recommend it. If you're interested in it, make sure that you're here in whatever, like 2 hours when we kick that off, or an hour and a half. So you guys do anything like this? You guys have groups that you meet with, or things you do regularly like this that you found some use in?
Yes.
I've got a lot of these. I love them. So.
Oh, definitely. I'm I'm lucky I'm in Montreal, so it's a huge game developer scene. So, I used to work at a co-working space called the Gameplay Space, where it was just a bunch of different indie studios in there, and we would all just, have lunch together, or go climbing together, or go, riding bikes together. But ever since COVID, that kind of closed off. But we still meet up, and we just talk about the projects we're working on. So it's kind of it's like an informal version of the Mastermind thing, but it really does help, when your friends are just about to release a project and you're talking about the projects you're working on. It's really motivating, and just, being consistent and talking about it. It really helps when you're part of community. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that accountability as well stops you from procrastinating so much each week, because you go up and you don't want to be the guy that turns up each week and goes,
Exactly.
I didn't do anything this week. I just lazed, done nothing.
And if you don't turn up, then they know know you did nothing, because they're like, he's avoiding us, or they're avoiding us. Yeah.
Though sitting, having a week off, drinking pina coladas by a nice pool is a good use of time as well, every now and again. So you shouldn't feel you have to get something done every week, because that can be counterproductive.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think on the accountability side, when you do miss it and you don't get stuff done, it really pushes you like the next week. At least it does for me. If I'm like, I really didn't get much done, like I got nothing, like what should I have done? Then I kind of start thinking about the things that I wanted to get done. And a lot of the time I'll start doing them like right after the call. I'm like, yeah, I really did want to do all that stuff that I said I was going to do. And I didn't, because I got distracted with other things that were shinier or, newer. So I gotta make sure I get back to it. It's also really good at setting course too. Like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when a lot of time I'll tell people what I'm working on, what my plan is. And then in that discussion that I know I'm going to have, I'll realize after talking to them that what I'm doing is not the best idea, and that I really should be doing something else. But being able to kind of talk it through, and it's almost like having like your own little group of rubber ducks, like that talk back and actually give advice. It can be really, really handy, and it gets really, really chill and relaxed after a while. After you've talked to the same group of people for like 2-3 months, everything kind of like all the barriers just blow away, and it's very chill and calm. So it becomes easy. So I recommend it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's totally that rubber duck thing where it's like you're going to talk about what you want to do for the next week, and talking through it might help you just work smarter as well, so you can actually get to that goal. To like just talking through it. I was wondering what yours is, Jason. Is this your version of that? This podcast, does this help you? Like, is this your way of touching base on what you're working on and being accountable?
Is one. So I have a couple that I do, 2 other things throughout the week, Friday and another day. But this one actually helps me a lot with what I want to work on game dev wise, and seeing and hearing kind of the new stuff that's going on, also with motivating. So I mean, I try not to share too much of what I'm going to do on here, just because I feel like as soon as I do, it becomes public knowledge, and then I have to do it. Like I felt this obligation. But I get a lot of the ideas for the things that I talk about in the other groups here, and then I just bring them up there. I'm like, I got this idea during the show, and now I want to think it through where nobody's going to hear my thoughts out loud before I decide whether it's a good idea or not.
Have you heard of like accountability cafes in Japan? I saw this video recently about this cafe that you can go to in Japan. I think it's mainly for writers, where you can go and you like sign this slip at first, and you talk about how much you want to get done. You write down how much you want to get done. You write down the level of pressure you want from the host, right? And so you can be like, I want to hold me extremely accountable, and I want to get like 3 chapters done. And then the person will just like, you get infinite coffee, infinite snacks, whatever, and the person will constantly like check on you to make sure you're done in time. And even if you go past hours, they'll stay open till you're done. It's like they're very serious about making sure you get your work done. It's just the strangest thing, but I want one in Montreal.
That is hilarious. They
Yeah.
just lock you
There's a
in
video
until you're
about
done. Like,
Yeah,
nope,
basically. No,
right,
you
your
can
way
leave,
out
but
of this room.
Yeah, you better hope you can finish that task. Otherwise, you're going to be there for
Yeah,
forever.
it really takes a strong person to admit when they know they're not good enough to do it on their own, that they have to kind of coerce themselves into doing that.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just the inspiration I get when you sit in one of these groups, so an indie group or a developer group, and you hear everybody doing so well and they're doing great things and all the rest of it. It just inspires you to get back in and really, really hit it hard.
Oh yeah.
And the other nice thing I like from these groups is, especially if you're an indie developer, it can be quite isolating. You sit there all day, every day, possibly just working on your own for days and days on end, and you don't talk to anyone.
No.
And therefore, these groups can help develop social skills and just enable you to talk to somebody and be around people.
Yeah, that's really true.
Except I hate people, as everybody knows. I avoid them like the plague.
You like people, Dave. You talk to people all the time. You're one of the most outgoing introverts I know. Like, very, very, very outgoing, I think.
And
As
he
far
learned
as
it all
people
through
I know.
Mastermind
I mean,
groups.
that might just be my bubble.
yeah, the people that do want to talk to me.
So
That is
there
a
was
question from the chat. Like the question from VitOrbs goes like, but what if I don't like people?
This is how you get to learn to pretend to like people
Exactly.
in order to fulfill.
you don't have to like that many.
I'm with you,
only have to
VitOrbs.
like-
I pretend all the time to like people. Just to get ahead.
Yeah.
Good that you admit it.
Oh man.
Brave.
There was a question from John about how to go about joining the groups. We're gonna do so. I've been doing some manual stuff where I've been going through and matching them up, but at about 11 o'clock, so probably around 10:30, we'll start it off. We're gonna jump over to this platform that I've set up so that it will be really, really easy for people to find the time zone and the exact day that works for them, the time and day that works, because that's the hardest part of getting these things matched. So it would be really simple. We'll be able to run in there. You'll be able to go talk to a couple different sets of people, probably. It works, and then we'll build those into formal groups. We'll set up the Discord channels and everything for you for each group that gets formed out of it. So we'll see how it goes. I think that we'll probably end up with a dozen or 2 dozen groups out of it, maybe less, maybe more. And then we'll do it again next week if there's still more interest. Then I'll try to manually make more people later too, but I want to get as many people in as quick as possible. So this would be like the fast opportunity to join up with a group and then see how it goes. And you can always modify and change the groups. It's not like it's a static thing that's locked in. You have full control over it.
So is there a particular person that's leading the group, or is it just an open chat?
Good question.
When we do ours, nobody leads it. Whoever just decides. And usually the way that it started was one person would kind of lead it a little bit just for the first 2 or 3 calls, just to kind of make sure that we were kind of following through the process. There was one guy, my buddy Rick, on one of them who he likes to be organizational and write things down. So he wrote everything down. He sent out notes afterwards, after each meeting, with everything that we talked about and what everybody wanted to do. And then over time, that became way less formal. And now it's just we jump in. Whoever's got the most interesting or pressing thing, we'll start the meeting off, and then we'll go from there. So I think that's kind of a good way to go. If you have somebody that's really interested in kind of being organizational and doing a little bit of leading, as long as it's not trying to really like fully control it, because the whole goal is really that everybody is just in there enjoying it and talking and getting their opportunity with about equal amount of time on their problems, assuming that they have problems. Sometimes people have no problems and they're just like, hey, I don't really have anything today, but it's just going to help. So And then there was a question about what time is it. So we're going to set it up so that you can find whatever time you need. I've got a whole system set up. I'll show you guys that in about an hour. You can see it so that you'll be able to find a time and day that works perfect. It should be really easy and fun. I don't know if it will be, though. We'll see. I think it will be.
It's an experiment.
Yes, it is definitely an experiment. It's a fun experiment.
Everybody here is the alpha group.
What is that?
Everybody here is the alpha group. They're going to get tested on by Jason.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, for the first couple groups, I actually joined the first call to run them through it and make sure that it was good. And I don't think it's too difficult to deal with. It's just there's so many groups.
How big on average is each group? Maybe you already said this, but like how many people?
Like 4 to 6 people.
4 to 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody gets a chance to like speak within the hour, and
yeah, usually expect about 4 people to show up, maybe all 6. But yeah, it's about a good number so that in an hour everybody's got at least 10 minutes to kind of cover their stuff. And like I said, if people need to talk afterwards or goes longer, like as long as everybody's got their 10 minutes in that first hour, you can go. The people that need to stay on and continue on with whatever problem they're working out can easily do that. But if it gets too big, you get up to like 20 people, then you end up with a lot of people rotating in and out that don't really know the context of everything. And you don't really have the time to see everybody's stuff. So unless you're like the person running and leading it, it's really hard to have a good wide view. Where with a 4 to 6 person group, it's really easy to know, like, I know Rick's been building this business, working on this specific segment for a very long time, and I've seen the growth, and I know exactly what he's been doing, what he's tried, and what he hasn't. Or he's been building this game, and I know what's worked, what hasn't worked on this game, and I can give feedback that's really contextual instead of just kind of like, I've kind of seen this thing for this half hour, and I'm giving feedback based off of that. So the small group, I think you get a lot more of that deeper context there on what they're trying to do and what the goals are.
Start to get committed to other people's projects too, attached. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of do. Like I've got quite a few people I know a lot about their projects. Just from a lot about their weird business stuff. Yeah, it's interesting, but you learn a lot. So yeah, and then
that small group you'll be able to give back and forth as well, won't you? Rather than just everybody going, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and then everybody goes, right, great, see you next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it could be, but have you tried this? And yeah,
it's much more about those discussions and the direction finding, I think, than anything else. Getting people to do the right things and look at the right things and know that a technology exists that they're trying to recreate or something.
I think 4 to 6 is a really nice balance where it's like it gives enough time for everyone to speak within the hour, but also if you don't have something to say that particular week, there's enough people to fill up the space where you can just contribute to it there. Like you can show up and just talk about what other people want to talk about.
There's always if at least 4 people show up, there's always going to be at least one person that could fill an hour. Yeah, without a doubt. And then Jake was saying it'd be cool if mastermind groups did game jams together. And I think that would be cool too. It's
as
definitely
teams.
something. Yeah, I saw one of the groups talking about it in Discord. I was watching the chat. So I would think it would be very cool. Yeah. It's about the right size for a game jam too. You could get in there and make a quick game for a weekend as the first thing. There's actually that Backtrace game jam is coming up next Friday. I think it's Friday through Sunday, 48 hours. To sign up for that, and then go do that as a group, as like an ice breaking project, right? Like a simple, is super short 48-hour one.
When is the GameDev show game jam?
I was gonna say, I was just gonna ask that.
Get him on record now. He hates it.
Yeah, where's the Jason Weimann game jam? Come on.
You guys overestimate my energy level by a lot.
Hey, you look like you do a lot of things, Jason. I mean, not you look like you do a lot of things.
Yeah, and then I fall over right afterwards. I get out, I walk over, go upstairs, and I tip over and I pass out. And my wife's like, "Are you asleep again?"
The problem is, speaking to Nick, the problem is you do the game jam, but then it's playing every single game and having to break those up into groups so other people play them and get them all the way through. I mean, he gets hundreds of people put games in, and it's just a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
No, I'd be happy
done
to
it.
like do one
fun,
with somebody who was gonna do all that stuff. Yeah, I would, because I would feel like I need to play everything, and I don't know if that I would have time. But it does sound fun. I actually probably should do it. I don't
It
know.
is fun.
There you go.
I can make do a game jam.
I've hosted like when I was working at I used to work on the visual scripting tool Bald back when before it was part of Unity, and we hosted like 10 different game jams for that. And yeah, you play through a lot of games and you give a lot of feedback. It's just a lot, but it's a lot of fun. You really connect with your community and like get to know them on a different level when you do that. It's really awesome. You just get to see them in their element, being creative. It's great. I recommend it. I really recommend it.
Yeah, game jams are cool shit. Definitely. Yeah, that's how I met Dave.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
me and Jason used to go around doing game jams together. Yeah.
Nice. Like, was there a specific one you like first met at, or?
Well, we met
one?
at a specific one. Yeah, it was a VR game jam we met at.
Oh, nice.
And then we formed a little group, and 4 of us done about 4 or 5 game jams together.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Going to all the in-person ones. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt like cheating a little bit, though, because we'd turn up and most of them would be college students joining in for the game jam. And then it'd be me, Jason, our friend Andy, who used to build tools for like Autodesk. The one who had the least experience was actually a developer on Blizzard. That's the level we were going in at. So yeah, it felt like cheating a little bit, but it was great fun.
That's awesome.
Great fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and then they'd all be coming up to Dave talking about how to get a job. Like, Mr. Dave, do you have any jobs? Not actually like that, but there were a lot of conversations with Dave.
I don't remember like that.
Dave is like a giant, great resource for college students from what I've seen. He's always helping them out.
Oh, great. Now I'm literally going to get a ton
You're going to get flooded. What's your email, Dave? Just throw your email up real quick, your personal email.
Yeah. I'll just put it out there. I am not hiring at the moment, so don't even.
No, this was back in the day. Yeah, this was back when
yeah,
knew lots of people who were with lots of people.
Yeah, I was building companies. That was back then.
That's when you were actively hiring.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I'm trying to think there were a couple other things that I wanted to bring up and mention today before we get into actual mastermind group building. One of them I briefly showed to you guys a minute ago, and a lot of you have probably seen this. If you guys have seen this in chat, just let me know. If you haven't, then let me know too. But Dave, you didn't see this when I shared it, so maybe you haven't seen it. I thought it was cool as shit when somebody shared it with me. They sent it in I think it was a comment or Discord message. I've lost track. It was this Nvidia canvas thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Dave? You've seen it, huh?
Yeah. I've seen a little bit.
Can we play with this live, Jason? Can we like?
Yeah, you can just download it and play it
right now. No, like for the audience, can we do the thing? Or?
Oh, let's see.
I don't know if you have it downloaded. No pressure.
Let's give it a try. Oh man, what's going on internet?
Really gonna make Jason crash right now. So.
His internet's going to slow to a creep.
That is going really slow. It says 2 minutes.
I thought you already had it downloaded. My bad.
No, not on this system. It's fine. It'll get it installed. I'll just let it download and install while it runs. It's going. You can't see it behind my name tag, but it says it's got 2 minutes. Cool. So this thing, for anybody who hasn't seen it, you can kind of get a quick preview right here. Allows you to make landscapes even if you have my art skills. So you can just drag out and draw the areas that you want to be different things, and then it turns them into these fancy little landscape environments. I thought it was super cool. I don't know what I would use it for yet, other than like kind of prototyping and giving artists some ideas of stuff. But I thought it was neat tech that's probably going to go a long way long term and make it so that I can, maybe eventually in a game be like, hey, go put a village over here or some stuff and just kind of draw it out with little paintbrushes and then have it appear there. That's kind of my hope, that one day we end up somewhere like that. So do you guys have experience with this thing? You want to talk a little bit about it?
No, but I could see you building back like far off canvases and stuff like that for your skyboxes and things, or billboarding big items in the background with something like this.
Yeah, it
It's
definitely
neat
seems
tech.
cool.
I can imagine a future though with where you can make it almost 3D, right? Where it's one step to paint it and another step to say, all right, bring this into Unity, and it kind of just does it, magically brings in some foliage and adds a skybox and adds the mountains and sculpts the terrain, adds the water.
Even if it brought it to like a third-party tool and let me export the FBXs or something, and then eventually got to there. But yeah, I think long-term it'll probably be like, I don't know. I just imagine like 100 years from now. Well, although it's probably really like 15 years from now, how crazy the tech will be.
It's
Now
true.
we're able to
It'll
give it
progress from
ideas
2D
and
to
it
3D.
builds. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think I was desynced for a second. I was like, yeah, I was just agreeing with Andrew. I was like, yeah, I could imagine it progressing from 2D to 3D, just like everything else.
Yeah, it would be interesting, wouldn't it, if you could literally build a game this way? Unity brought something like this in the Unity canvas, and you could literally say, right, I want this here, I want this here, I want this here, and it just starts building it out and making a fundamental, like basic level or something like that.
That'll be extremely convenient.
Yeah, just a bit.
I feel like I need Rick from Procedural Worlds. He would love to talk about that stuff. Let me see. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? Let me screen share the correct screen, and you can see it in action. So
Nice.
Okay, awesome.
here's the window, my untitled canvas. So you can see we've got outer space there, and if I go select some ground, like let's just pick grass for now, and am I on a paintbrush? Let's just do that. We'll go paintbrush, drag it out, just fill this all in with grass, and you know what? Maybe I'll do some dirt too. Do like some up close dirt. A little bit of grass here, and then some dirt.
If there isn't a bunny rabbit option, I'm sorry, this has failed.
I mean, if you think about it, this is technically like a terrain tool in 2D, essentially.
And now I've got, look at that. It added the dirt and turned my grass into grass.
Oh, wow.
That was cool. What's this? Sand? Yep, we'll add a little beach.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not far removed from using some of the landscape tools in Unity, though,
Exactly.
where you're literally painting on the grass, you're painting on which areas you want to be, which it obviously blends a lot better like this, but that's not to say you don't put your 50 opacity brush on and get your blending done on the sides of your grass and everything with the landscape tools. Not to take anything away from this, it's super incredible, but
yeah.
Make a Mickey Mouse cloud. Interesting.
not the hidden Mickey.
What's this? Is that a pillar?
It's the
What is that you've just added?
crazy
The
shape.
stone
for-
wall.
Trying to make a bunny rabbit.
Stone.
You can make Stonehenge.
The best thing is this is literally Jason's programmer art coming to life.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Idle Pond, Jason.
This is why Jason loves the asset store.
Trees. Oh yeah, look at me, man. I'm basically
Let's go.
So if you were thinking about being an artist, you should probably just give up now because you've been replaced by me.
Yeah, not quite. by Jason.
No.
Oh,
Put
beautiful.
a tree
Beautiful.
on
Look at
top
that
of that
funky
rock.
tree.
There we go. And we need a tree on top of this rock. That got weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you
This
literally
thing is
My rock.
definitely very, very cool. Obviously, my art skills are terrible. Even with the tool that makes it easy to make art, I'm pretty bad at it. But it is definitely looking neat, though. I want to play with this some more. Let me stop
This
sharing
is-
that thing.
Pretty impressive. But yeah, the first thing that came to mind was like Skybox for me. I'm like, if like for today, if I were to use this like now, maybe could use it for a Skybox somehow.
some background trees and terrain off in the distance.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of the stuff we do now is you see a lot of people, they'll do massive landscapes in Unity because they haven't come across this yet, and they just go on and on and on. They're like, oh my god, I've got to get the hills in, and they're putting hills off in the distance. Whereas really what we all do is do a little bit of landscape around you and then one big ass quad at the back that has the hills and everything that blends off into the skybox.
Yeah. Exactly. Every now and then you can throw in a 3D object in the distance to kind of blend the two things. I don't know if you've seen the game.
Give some
like
parallaxing and stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly. So you make that 2D plane seem more 3D or realistic. Yeah, like there's the game Lost in Random has this one stage where there's these two titans fighting, like two massive titans. Like you're in a city and there are these two titans in the distance, and those titans are in 3D, but they're somewhere between the level and the skybox, and it just kind of ties everything. It ties the foreground to the background. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I could see this being used for some of that.
Yeah.
There's a question in chat. Have you guys seen the Gigaya demo? And I actually did a video with Unity about this at GDC. So I have definitely seen it. It looks awesome. I'm not sure. I wonder if it's out yet. Do you know if it's out yet, Hassan? Have they released the demo for downloads yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But you
Soon,
can
I
like
hope. It's very
you can
cool.
you can check it out. I think we did that stream together, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, there's a lot of content out there that you can check out.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Hopefully it comes out soon, because I think for me, I want to see a couple things. I want to see how they dealt with all the cross-scene reference stuff. I really want to dig into that code again, and the animation system. Like it seems very, very cool. Like it's extremely. There are a lot of cool systems in there, but those are the two that I'm really unsure of how they were built. So I really want to dig in. The other ones I have at least a good guess of what was done. So I want to dig in and check that out. Well, the first one, actually, I heard something and it made me want to dig.
Yeah, like all the rigging and the IK, it all just looks super great. And if you see, I think there are videos of it now, but the little like the playground that they made to like really push the character to the limits, like having the character like run on a sloped surface, having the slope change, jumping like running on a spherical surface, and seeing how the character reacts to the environment is pretty awesome.
It was really, really cool. I should pull it up and just show everybody too.
Yeah.
While I'm talking about it. Does it show it? Oh yeah, this is the whole demo video. I'll link this in the description and chat too, people that want to go check it out. But yeah, it's going to be a neat demo, and this is like essentially a mini starting project of a Ratchet and Clank style game. Obviously not exactly that, but it reminds me a lot of Ratchet and Clank, the way that it looked, felt, and kind of played, and it seems like it had a lot of the mechanics. So it seemed like it was going to be a great starting point for people to learn how to make one of those types of games and see all of the different components instead of just a little piece here and there that they have to try to figure out how to put together, which I thought was really cool.
I dropped a link. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, I'm hoping with this sample game, there's really good documentation and commenting and introductions to each part and the system and all the rest. I know there's been quite a few previous samples that have come out of Unity and other groups that are just like all-encompassing. There's not enough telling you how to get in and abstract that stuff and break it out. I can think of previous networking ones in particular that were very, very high level with not a lot of introductions to people to show them how to get into each part of it. And this seems like a lot more polished in the way it comes across.
Yeah, I think the teams have like heard a lot of that feedback, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think it's going to be good stuff.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has real notes of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
The best samples that I've experienced from Unity in the past were really the more simple in the sense that they did one thing. So like Viking Village comes to mind, right? Viking Village was a great, I need to make a scene. Let me bring in Viking Village, and now I've got a scene that I can work with, and you can learn, some basic things. And that was all about PVR when that first came out. Book of the Dead almost reached that, except it didn't actually work in for real use cases because it was so custom. And then the other demo that I can think of is that Neon demo from years ago. I always bring this up because it was such a great example. This was probably like 5 years ago now almost, but it's such a great example of how to use assets in a creative way from the asset store. It was 100% asset store, and it's just like, turn this building on its side, and now you have a wall that looks really cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
So this one's interesting too, but there's so much going on, and I to your point, Dave, I hope that there's a explanations about what is going on, because there's so much going on that it seems like perhaps it's going to be hard to understand what anything is, because there's just so much there.
And in fact, Jason, that video was just playing. It had a section where it showed a debug scene where they were looking at the jumps and they were looking there.
That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
This gives me hope that this game is going to come across as something that breaks everything up and really shows how to build a video game properly, with having those bits that you can go to. Because even when I create my own video games, I always have debug scenes that are like, this is just where I do the jumps. This is just where I do the shooting. So I can really nail in the mechanic and get it really tweaked.
Yeah.
And that seems to be happening here, where you'll be able to jump in and see how each mechanic is really coming together and working, which is nice.
Yeah, that was my impression of it. When I looked at the project a little bit, I did get to take a quick peek at the source code and stuff there's in the Unity editor, and then just take a look around, and everything seems pretty separated out. Like there's a lot of things separated even by scenes. All of the different systems had separate scenes for stuff. So it was pretty easy to stack up, and it looked like it was very segmented. Like you could probably just take that character controller and pop it into something else. I just couldn't tell exactly if there were some dependencies that I wasn't seeing and stuff, but it looked like it was pretty modular. Like you could just kind of mix and match and rip parts out and hopefully be able to make that for everybody who's wondering why that matters. It makes it a lot easier to understand the stuff if it's all modular and the pieces just kind of plug in together, because then you can see where the boundaries are and how a quest works or how a mission works in here and how combat works, and it's not all kind of confusing, or less confusing at least.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more time to do, and adding all the comments, like in the shader graphs and stuff like that, putting in the comments that say, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what this does. I like the way Unity's actually added some of those commenting systems in there. And it'd be really good to see that. In fact, funny enough, whenever you put in a template, like the URP template or anything like that, they actually have intro screens now, like README intros that are broken out. And I wish that the items they put in, the scripts they put in that basically decorate the inspectors, I wish they were standard actually for READMEs. So you could actually break up your project and have README sections in there. Because I always end up creating these on my own. That when I import a library, it has a README there that's in nice markdown language that's displayed really well, that I can look at. Because I think it really benefits anybody coming onto the projects I work on.
Yeah, I like those too. I've been enjoying seeing those appearing in things. I've seen them in a lot of assets now too that have more complex setup, which is nice. That reminds me, there's an asset that I wanted to share later. I'll jump over to that in a bit. There was one that I've been using this last week that was really cool and handy, so I figured I would at least promote it and share it because it's been helpful for me. But there was a question here for Andrew.
Ooh.
Do you have a channel on your Discord that's mainly for stream associated topics? I want to write some simple improvements to your code, but don't know where to put those kinds of posts. And for everybody who hasn't been watching, Andrew's been streaming a lot lately, showing his game development process of building out his full RPG. So if you want to see what that's like, you should definitely be subscribed. Just hop in there. He goes through the code and shows all kinds of interesting stuff and shows what it's like actually putting in the system, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, changing systems, and then making it all very publicly available. And most of his stuff turns into things that you can grab on the asset store as well. So
how often do you stream?
Yesterday I streamed twice, and I think it was a total of 6.5 or 7 hours.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
It was where I got 4-day weekend, and so I'm like, I know I'm gonna do on this weekend. My friends didn't invite me over, so I'm making my game. That's what's happening. And it was colder this weekend here, so it means I didn't want to go outside. So making the game, it's a great opportunity to make the game, and now that I'm streaming again, I've got more time in my life, so I've been making the game, streaming it because, I talk about this. Sometimes I'm more efficient when I'm streaming.
Interesting.
But most of the time I'm less efficient.
Yeah, I was about to say.
How does that work?
But
I'm actually curious about
on my toes. It keeps me on my toes, and also every once in a while I get great tips from people. People just watching along, I'll ask a question or be trying to solve a problem and they'll come in with the answer, or Jason's story will attempt to derail me completely and take me off course and teach me something and teach everybody else something very valuable. So I learn a lot from it as well. And then ultimately, I want this game to, be successful one day. One day it will probably have a Patreon. It will probably do a Kickstarter type thing or some sort of, make me quit my job scenario where I can then focus on it to bring it to completion. So right now I'm working on all the basics, getting all the mechanics set up. That whole process is going on the asset store as well with the game modules bundle, which is already on the store. It's just all the backend database, data management tools, etc. that I build. I'm putting on that. So it's just a big process. Once I get that, then I'll move to the next step. But streaming it is helpful, and I like it. It's not bad. It's not quite a mastermind group, but there's a lot of regulars, as you might gather from the chat here, from people talking about it here that come in. And
are you streaming on YouTube and Twitch?
On
or is
YouTube, I need to get the figure out the restream setup to do both YouTube and Twitch. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. If only I was in a mastermind group and somebody was holding me accountable, then I probably would.
Or you knew someone that does it every Sunday.
Oh yeah, I don't know a dude. I don't know anyone who does that. But yeah, I need to figure that part out, and also figure out my audio setup too.
I was just gonna say, if you haven't subscribed, you should definitely go subscribe and tap the thumbs up. I just hit it. I'll drop the link in chat so everybody can go check it out. Go make sure to subscribe. Check out the streams; they're interesting. When they pop on, I usually hop in and just kind of, if I'm not at my desk, I'll watch on my phone or something while I'm doing other things, or kind of listening in, and then occasionally chatting in bed too while I'm coding. It's like my background noise. It's really weird. I think people might think it's crazy, but listening to you code in the background while I'm coding on my laptop, super chill. It's nice, relaxing background noise. Occasionally there's something oh, wait, what? I'll look up and see it. But most of the time, just kind of hear it and hear coding in the background. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm weird.
I'm always surprised by people who say, oh, I'm coding my own game at the same time. Because to me, it's if I'm trying to count and someone starts saying numbers, that doesn't work well.
Yeah.
So I can't do that myself. In fact, even when I'm coding, if I'm not doing the streams, which is just me talking pretty much the whole time, I can't listen to other things. If the music I listen to is the Skyrim soundtrack or rainymood.com, which is literally just rain and thunder, just to drown out all the other sounds, because if I have any other sound, then it breaks my concentration. So I don't know how people do that. More power to you.
You said sometimes it's you're productive and sometimes it's difficult while you're streaming. Does it depend on the kind of stuff you're doing, or?
Well, it's because I talk through it all. So
okay.
The negative is that I have to talk through things. Sometimes I do get derailed. I don't mind answering questions. In fact, I like answering questions. So somebody will ask me a question about something and I'll go off on a tangent, explain one of the game modules or explain one of the assets or something like that. So there's a little bit of that distraction, which is not a bad thing per se, but it does slow me down. And the other thing is, though, there's positive sides, which is I have to focus, in most of the streams, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I probably have a trajectory that I'm on that I want to further along this mechanic or explore this thing. Right. So it keeps me honest to where, as an example, last night, I had done a stream in the morning working on this magic stuff, and I got to a point where I knew the next phase was going to be making the damage actually do something. So now we have the information is being passed. So now what are we going to do with it? And so I got there and I was like, okay, well, we're passing along. And then I realized, okay, well, I kind of need to figure out what happens about you. You can take damage. You can take 5 damage, but you've got your resistances. You've got your armor. How are we going to, reduce the damage now? And so I ended up, building and linking up all the resistance system, and it just worked. It was pretty magical. It was one of those magical things where in a 2-hour period, it went from, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, to, oh, it's fully working now and it should work from here into the future. I can change the algorithm right there. And I kept showing Al Gore playing the bongos whenever I said algorithm. I'm gonna make a button for that. So every time I say algorithm, I can pop him up on my screen. But and it just worked. And so that was one of those positive things where I didn't necessarily plan it. I just talked it through with the people, and it worked. So it was fun.
Awesome.
Nice.
Are you constantly talking to the chat? Like, are you reading the chat constantly, or?
I do, not constantly. I glance over. It's not the most, like in a 4-hour period, I'll have 150 messages. So it's not like
Okay.
a ton of chatter. Generally speaking, under 10 people will be there, and most are really doing other things.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working, or they got me in the background, or
You said something that really stood out. Like you mentioned that you might bring the game to Patreon, and I really want to talk to you guys about this if you don't mind me derailing a bit, Jason. But
we love derailing.
I've been noticing a new trend, but it's not a lot of people are doing it. There are a few people doing it, and a few people doing it very successfully, where they're developing their game on Patreon, like, releasing the alpha build. And I think it works for some types of games better than others. It works well for like multiplayer games, for example, because you constantly want the updates, and the community they're engaged with each other, playing with each other. But, I've seen, if we look at the Davigo, if you've heard of Davigo, this game, it's like a VR game. It's an asymmetrical VR game where somebody is in VR and the other person is playing on the computer, and it's local, but you can play online via Parsec. And they have a Patreon, and they're making about 20-something K a month.
Oh, wow.
On this game, right? And there's this other Sims type game. It's like a Second Life Sims kind of game. I forget the name now, but they're making way over 20K. So if you check out their Patreon, you'll see how well they're doing. And it's a really interesting strategy, and I haven't seen a lot of people explore it, but I think it's the next wave. I don't know. It's just a hunch I have that it's like the next thing that a lot of game devs are going to start doing. I know Sockpop does it too. And they do about 5K a month on Patreon. But yeah, I wonder what your thoughts are on like, have you come across this yet, or?
I'm just building a Patreon account right now.
Oh, there you go.
So I've seen it. We've seen it in a few cases. There's certainly people out there, and there's others on Patreon who do like tutorials and stuff online, and they've got their Patreon going on. I think even Bracky's had a Patreon, right? So it's a thing. I know for me,
games.
I can speak about my own game, and because my goal is to get onto a Patreon where people can pay whatever a month to support the project, to be part of the community, to get the alpha builds. My game's not a small game. One of the things I wanted to not do, though, was to release it on the Patreon too soon. I didn't, you could create a demo in Unity really quickly that looks like it's a cool game, but is not a game yet. That is just a
fair
vertical slice demo of what the game might look like once it's actually made. And you can put that on Steam, you can put that on places and get some people interested. But if you don't follow through, that's just kind of shitty as a person. It might look bad on you, but it's also just a kind of a crappy thing to do to people, especially with their money that they're giving it to you,
Especially since you're not like accountable. Like you're making a promise, but I don't think the people are actually legally accountable for like keeping the promise. You have to be careful with what you're backing. And so for me, and this is I wanted to get my stuff to a point where I can say, listen, the game is not done, but all the hard parts are done, like the figuring out how it works. That's all done. Now I just need to actually build it. I've got all the pieces, or at least most of the pieces. Are going to change over time, but now I'm going to start building it. I'm going to start building it from the first scene up. So when a Patreon comes out, that first scene is available. And then we're going to build from there. That's cool.
Yeah, it also depends what the Patreon things are. I mean, if you're literally giving people advice and you're giving them something back during the development as well, then they're getting something back straight away. So if I was building a video game on Patreon, link to come by the end of the show, then I'd be providing them, this is what I done here, this is what I done here. So as long as they're getting something back, it's a standard Patreon, as if you're sponsoring somebody who had a YouTube channel or something like that.
Yes.
So I can see benefits on the development, especially for you, Andrew. You're actually showing loads of stuff and providing loads of information or assets and things like that.
Yeah, Jason, why don't you have a Patreon? Where's your Patreon?
I do. It's linked down below.
Oh, you do? Okay, my bad.
It's down there. Yeah, occasionally get messages on there, and
Let me jump
occasionally
into that.
share stuff on there. Yeah, it's cool stuff. I like. I feel like Andrew's idea too, though, doing it for his. But I think this is a really smart plan for game developers, because the amount of revenue that they can generate from the game is probably going to be a lot higher than if they were just selling it, and you can get into it kind of right away with people that are really interested and kind of want to support and push and promote the game. And I feel like it also is a good validator that people are actually interested in it, because people are, if you did a Patreon and 3 people signed up and one's your mom, then maybe it's not a great game to do, and maybe you should think about what it is you're building, right?
That's a good point.
So,
yeah.
Unless it's a game for your mum.
That's true.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
a Sudoku game, then my mom might
should at least get some.
And your mom is loaded and is putting a good deal of money into your account.
I guess it depends who your mom is.
Good strategy at that point.
I'd love to put it to the chat and ask them, what would it take to get you to back a game on Patreon? Like, what are you looking for?
Ooh.
Let us know.
Good question. Let me take notes.
Yeah.
Tell me at what point should I create my Patreon? And with the goal of getting enough people to basically say, quit your job, Andrew, and work on this game full time.
I mean, I always feel like now is the best time to start anything.
Yeah.
Or yesterday. Just do it yesterday. Just get started.
All right,
like,
Doctor
you're not
Who.
wrong.
Calm down,
It's so easy to put things off and wait until the perfect time, or wait until things are better. And I just I force myself to do things either right away, or I know I'm probably not going to do it. like I got to do it now or never. So I don't, to be honest with your game though, I think that you're doing enough. I think that you could definitely validate having a Patreon thing there. Plus you've got a bunch of art assets too. You could even give them like a free pack with the first month or something, higher tier, right? Give them like a free art pack as like a thank you bonus for signing up. Be even more motivating.
You do. I'll have to look into it and see if now's the time.
Get that game done. Get it out and released.
I know. It's a big
Don't
game.
let him force you, Andrew. Don't let him force you. He does this.
It's a big game. It's going to take a long time. Yeah, I see. Now that's where you can imagine I might be conniving here, because I get to the point where Hassan's saying, "Oh, this guy's making $25K a month on his Patreon while he's making the game." I'm like, why would I stop making this game? I can't release this game. I'd lose my income.
That is a very, very good point. Why would they stop? It makes no sense. I mean, they could technically just start working on the next game, because people are not just gonna end their subscription as soon as the game is launched. You can have a plan where you're you announce the next game before you fully launch, and then you launch, and then you're on to the next project already.
Keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, you got to keep the ball rolling. Exactly. But they've done it. It's really interesting, because they're like, hey, back $20 for 1 month, and you're guaranteed access to the game. But they know that people don't cancel subscriptions. People tend not to cancel their subscriptions. And so then you end up buying the game many months in a row. So it's interesting. And it's I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
There's definitely been games where I signed up Patreon, and it was largely because I wanted to see the game get done. I was like, this looks like it'll be a fun game. I'm more than willing to put in 10 or $20 a month, and hopefully it actually gets done. It's good. Yeah. I mean, I think it all depends on income. Maybe it's $1 a month they're willing to throw at it, or $5 or whatever, but it's not often, right? It's not like every game, but there have been 2 or 3 that I can think of where I was like, yeah, I definitely really, really want to play this. Right. And I was like,
Philip in chat nailed it. It's called Star Citizen.
Yes. And then Dustin says, Patreon, the gym membership of software.
Yeah, you're gonna to join my Patreon. You have to do a 2-year commitment, pay all up front. There's gonna be a $200 sign up fee. And you're going to get really sweaty every time you actually come to see my streams.
Oh, my God.
You have to show up to Andrew's house with a letter if you want to cancel your Patreon.
Yeah. And
he'll even
from 3 to 5.
He'll even do you a little gym membership card to go with it. So you'll feel bad if you ever have to hand it back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring your own towel.
So there's a couple questions I'll take that came in a little while ago that I starred, and I'm going to see if we can hit just a few of them. One was about somebody who's they're an indie game dev using Unity, and they have 3 years of experience, but they're wondering how they could get an internship because they're under 18. So I was curious what you guys thought for somebody that's under 18 on how to do this. I know that like in the US, it's really, really, really difficult to get some sort of an internship. I can't get my words out. An internship if you're younger, but you can kind of get a job. So I'm curious, have you guys seen interns under 18 getting positions? Is it like just a US thing, or what do you guys? I'm just open up. I'm going to shut up and see what you guys think about this because I don't really know what to tell them.
Yeah, back at Sony, when I was in the UK working for them, they had internships that you could apply to, and they would take on a certain amount each year. It was very limited, obviously, and there was a lot of people apply for them. But yeah, Sony Computer Entertainment done it. A couple of the larger indie game companies I helped build, they do internships as well. And they take people on each year, only a few. But usually just going to the site and looking for those things or searching this game company internships will bring something up, and that will tell you all you need to know. You're right, Jason. I haven't seen it in the US so much, but it definitely was a thing in the UK.
Well, we met Sony, but they were all through a college. So it was like you had to be in the college in some program to apply for the internship. But I know that obviously it's going to vary from company to company. I just not sure on. I think that if you're under 18 and you can actually code and you have a good portfolio, you should still start applying for jobs, even if you're not able to get in yet. Like get yourself in front of the people, because if they see that you're able to code, you're under 18. And you're motivated, you're gonna be much more likely to get in the second 18. And you'll also get a lot of experience doing the interviewing. But I haven't seen anybody like hire, I guess, an intern that's under 18. But I don't know why you couldn't technically.
No, you could. I mean, there is some complications with internships, and there's been a lot of backlash, especially in the US, especially in California. As far as people getting free labor by having people come in and do work. The thing to remind yourself is that every time you bring in an intern, that person is not meant to be doing something that's crucial to the job that you're actually doing. They should be shadowing people. They should be doing something that can be done by anybody else on the team, because otherwise you have an employee, you don't have an intern. This person should just be literally sitting next to somebody, learning what they do, seeing what the craft is and all the rest. And they should be getting something out of it as well. A lot of people that go, oh yeah, I need an intern because I need my coffee made for me every day. Screw you, dude. Go and get an employee to do that for you. Interns are there to learn. And every time I've had interns working with me, they sit next to me, they watch what I'm doing, and then I tell them to go away and do something that's based on what I've just shown them how to do. That's non-vital. That's probably going to get thrown away, but it's just them learning how to do it, and they get feedback off it as well. That's the importance of an internship. So when you're looking for interns, an internship or anything like that, make sure it's with a reputable company, and obviously ask, what will I be doing as an intern? Because you need to get something back off that. If you go and be an intern for a week and you're making coffee, unless it's literally an intern to be a barista, don't bother.
But even then, you may still get contacts if it's only a week.
yeah, true. And you might get an invite to look around the place. Yeah, true.
I just wanted to mention that, like, while we didn't have a lot of internship stuff at Sony, I did see that a large percentage of the interns ended up just being full-time engineers right afterwards. So they would transition from, hey, I'm an intern to I'm an intern and I can write code. I wasn't bullshitting my way through the interview. And now I'm a junior developer, and on to, like, some of them were senior developers. I saw like the process of them coming in as interns and getting up to being a senior developer throughout the years there. So it's definitely interesting. I don't know that you necessarily need it, though. That's one thing to point out to you. You can definitely get a junior game dev job without an internship. It's not necessarily easier to get an internship than a junior game dev job, because dealing with internships is it's work as an employer. Like Dave was saying, it's not like a normal employee where you can just kind of give them tasks and have them do stuff. There's a bunch of special rules around it and different expectations So it might be find a lot more junior game dev jobs open than internship positions is my guess.
I
would
usually
suggest.
Oh, sorry, Andrew, jump in.
That's fine. I would suggest that reaching out to a company that you're interested in being a part of, and just saying, hey, I don't know if you have internships. I don't know if you're looking for like part-time, low entry, side gig type stuff. Years and years and years ago, I did HTML stuff for a tech company in the Bay Area. My dad had done some stuff for them, and they ended up paying me $20 an hour for literally 3 hours a week. On Mondays, I would drive up to Alameda and work for 3 hours and drive back. And it was tedious, boring work. It was basically the stuff that their full-time guy didn't want to do, he would have me do. And it was terrible, but I was getting paid $20 an hour in like 1996 or something in high school.
All right, rich.
And, yeah, and that was great. And, if I had my wits about me, I could have easily learned how to impress this guy, and it would have turned into you can do it 10 hours a week. Oh, you're 18 and you're out of high school now. You can do this as a full-time job. And I could have just skipped college and done the whole tech dream thing or whatever. But I didn't like the work. It was boring as hell. And I kept going to get hot chocolate because I was so pretty much falling asleep every single day. But that opportunity exists too. I don't know how many companies would actually have something like that, but a lot of them might not even realize that there's somebody who wants to do that stuff. And maybe there's a manager in a team that's like, man, yeah, if we had one person to come and do 5 hours a week of just some kind of tedious stuff that I don't want my team working on because they need to be doing other things, that could be an opportunity. But to get that, I don't know how. You'd have to reach out. You'd have to get to know the people and make sure they know you exist.
And even just reaching out, like you said, like from the email and saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is the opportunity. If they were thinking about it loosely, maybe we'll do this one day, and you send them the email, may spur I've had that happen to me where like I get spurred on to like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Let's do it. Like this random email just happened to be the right time. So yeah, you can definitely find it. Go ahead, Dave.
Another thing, if you're in college, there's a chance that your college actually has somebody that's managing all this as well, and they have contacts or they know how to best reach out to these companies to get potential internships. So if you're in a college, ask, because I know some of the one of the colleges I advise actually does have somebody that deals with internships. They manage everything. They make sure you're not going to get screwed over, and they know how to approach companies for you. So yeah, reach out to your college as well if you're there.
Some colleges have co-op programs actually where it's built into the internships are built into the program, where you're expected to do a certain number of internships. I really recommend those kinds of programs. If you're going into like a game dev program, I'd recommend like gunning for one that has a co-op program. I studied architecture originally, and that had a co-op program, and that was so valuable to just get like a bunch of work experiences just right out the door. And you'll find that there are a lot of internships where you actually do a lot of valuable work and can get paid a decent wage for it, and work that actually goes into the final product sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't always expect that, but I really like what you said, Dave, where like if you are hiring interns, make sure you're mentoring them, because that's like the main thing they need right now. They're like, yeah, money is important, but usually these people are young and it's still early for them. And what's more important is the skills that they're building, right? So mentoring people is key. And if you just find yourself at a an internship where you're doing it just for everything is fine at that stage, but if you're doing it just for the name on the CV rather than the actual experience you're getting, I feel like go for the placement that's going to get you experience if you can. Yeah. It'll benefit you more in the long run, I think.
And more on that point, if you're bringing in interns, remember those people might turn into being great engineers, great designers, great artists. Yeah. You're a brand ambassador when you're bringing people into your company to be an intern. If they have a great experience, you're the first company they're going to apply to when they finish college.
True.
And if you're the contact, you might be bringing a great person into your company to help develop your product. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I just kicked off the giveaway for everybody who wants to enter and win. If you'd like to win a copy of JetBrains Rider or a Scorpion, right, Andrew? You can give away one Scorpion,
One low poly Scorpion,
a low poly Scorpion. So should that be the first place or the second place prize?
last place prize.
The first person to get eliminated.
Just get the Scorpion.
Yeah, eliminated.
I love that idea.
We should do that. That makes
Okay.
you just have to watch the first round to make sure you see who the very
We'll watch
first
the
person
text
is.
message and see who dies first.
Yeah.
It's Scorpion. And then the one who stays alive the longest will get a JetBrains Rider license, a 1-year
Rider
Rider license.
Yeah.
And that who dies first is going to be very random because the order that you come in, it gets randomized right at the beginning. So you'll see everybody mix around. So it's not based on who got in first. It'll be 100% random. Well, as long as you pick a really bad race and class combo too to make sure that you lose.
If you believe in randomness.
Okay, this time I'm a dragon mage. I dropped one in.
I should
Let's go.
interact something too.
Actually, yeah.
Maybe I'll be
I didn't do it
I'm gonna
last
be a
time, so-
bomb. Hold on. I'm gonna be a bomb necromancer. There you go.
There's like 10
Pretty sure
dragon mages.
I literally started typing in Dragon Mage when you said it. I was like, oh no, come on.
You got to be a wizard though. There's no mage.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's no
really?
mage, so it's not gonna work. So I have
it's
to write wizard.
Yeah, you got to pick
Oh.
wizard.
Oh, okay. Where's the list? I need the list.
There you go. Make it bigger.
Oh, it's right there. Okay. Cool.
You can see what people have. There's the full list of all the options available up top. You can see all the different races.
Oh, okay. You know what?
I don't know if we
what
have
I'm doing.
any. Yeah. And then this is
Go
what
to
we
the
got. We got
actual
one
starting
knight,
screen.
2 sunflowers. We got a couple bombs. No, 3 bombs. Lots of rats, lots of lizards, and
I'm in.
dragons. Everybody
I'm
picks
in.
lizards and dragons. I don't know.
So does my character just pop in, or how does it work?
Yeah, your character, as soon as you typed it, your character was added to the list and should have walked in, and then eventually it would have shown him. If it didn't show your character already, it's going to him. It gives each character like 5 seconds
Oh,
on the camera, and then it goes to the next one in the list that's joined. But if everybody joins at once, then it's like catching up as they've already gotten to their spot.
Cinematic.
Yeah, I gotta make it a little bit pretty. It's not pretty enough, but still working on it. Eventually, I want to get it over to the maybe the hex map thing and make it so that they have to control the battle. I think that would be fun. Like control your character and give it like a destination. Just type in the destination each round, and then your character moves there and fights whoever's closest. And then we could put like targets down there. Let me show that to everybody real quick, by the way, because there was a question in chat. Let me pull it up about how do you handle the AI for your tabletop RPG thing? So let me show that tabletop RPG. I want to just briefly talk about this with you guys. I think it would be an interesting, quick discussion if I can figure out how to share the right screen. And so let's do share, and we'll find. But I can just do a share on the full screen. That's right. I always forget about that. And then I can take my window, and as soon as I find it, I get on over. So here's the RPG, or the tabletop RPG is talking about, and it's really like a tabletop strategy fighting game. It's not so much an RPG, but it has RPG characters. It's kind of based off of when we were at the conference. My buddy Joe said he would really like to play with this table thing if there was a D&D game. Then I thought I should build that, and then it turned into something totally different. So you can connect. This is my chat setup right there. I'll talk about that some other time. And then you can get in, and it's set up with multiplayer right now. 4 players with bots or with human players. I set up a netcode for game objects because I wanted to get some real world experience actually using it instead of just talking about it. I actually try it out with the release version. You can put out your characters, and then everybody will go through the rounds. Once I pick my movements, so I tell it where I want each character to go on my movement round. This is my healer guy. Move him over there. And then everybody will move, and then they'll go in and do their combat and start fighting and stuff. So the question here was, how do you handle the AI in the RPG? I'm working on something somewhat similar. Would appreciate some pointers. So I wanted to just kind of briefly explain that the AI is extremely simple. It's very rudimentary and dumb. And the way that it works is the the characters have a tiny bit of intelligence on them. They have the option to move with an action, and then those actions can either be interruptible by getting in combat range or not, and they'll move and then do the action if they have enough energy left. The decision making is just done by a single like bot script on each player. So each player can either be human controlled, that's locally controlled, a network controller, or a bot controller. And then there's a player script. Here, I'll just pause it real quick and show you. So there's a player script here. There's a local player controller for me to control it with the network, a human one, which is kind of the old one for single player only. I'm probably going to end up deleting it. And then a bot one. The bot one does all of the intelligence on all of the characters that are NPC AI controlled. And it really just looks through them and it says, hey, is there any enemy inside of my vision range? If so, find the one with the highest prior or the lowest priority, and then set that as my target and choose my action to go to it. Right now it's kind of dumb and I plan on making it smarter. But getting it working was kind of the hard part. Getting it to feel and act a little bit smarter is mostly going to come down to like different character behaviors so that the mage stops in combat range. I still always pretty much want them to go towards the nearest enemy and kill the nearest enemy, or go to a point of interest like a treasure that I spawn there. But that's nothing complicated. Just look for the nearest thing that's interesting that I know about and go to it. But the actual like differentiators aren't really going to be like smart AI. It's going to be much more just on the character stuff. And it's mostly also going to be multiplayer network stuff. I'm not too worried about having super intelligent AI, but I'm curious how you guys would go about doing AI in something like this, or just your general thoughts on AI stuff in simple games like this.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll jump in. I thought somebody else was going to jump in. Yeah. So yeah, basic tree is what I've done before for this sort of thing. So yeah, you've got a character. It runs down a tree and says, "What's my best options? I could reach this character. I can attack this person. I could do this. I can do that." You start basic from there, and then you get more advanced. If my character does all this, what's my next move? With that character's going to be coming up. I'll run a tree on that, and you're just working out. You give a score at each level. So I move here, I attack this, I get this score for doing this much. And then you do another branch. If I'd done all this, I'd get this score. If I'd done all this, I'd get this score. And then you work out which score gives you the highest, then you can run down that branch and actually perform those actions. And then you can get more advanced by saying, okay, my next character, and do. So if this character done all this, he got that score, and then she would do this and get this score. They add up to this. If the opposition was to do these actions. So it's very much like a chess tree algorithm that you write in. And that's how I would build it. And that's how I've done it in the past for these sort of turn-based things. In fact, I've got a video on my channel that literally shows a turn-based game that I created in a few days for a game jam, and then chucked in some very quick tree-based AI that does exactly that, works out scores, brings them back down, and then runs through them.
Yeah, I would keep it super simple. I think what I found is when you combine just a few simple concepts, suddenly AI feels much more complex than it actually is. Rather than coming up with this fake brain, just say, what do I want to do next? Should I attack? Should I not attack? It's a yes or no answer, and then you go from there, and suddenly you throw in a bunch of things, and it feels like they're all thinking for themselves and making decisions and working together when really they're not. But players will often kind of and amorphosize, is that the term, the AI, to make it feel like they're actually doing more than they really are.
And this is a turn-based thing that uses the tree system. I use something different for other characters. Like if I'm doing a real-time shooter or something like that, they use a state machine and they've got a brain. Basically, they come in and they go, okay, I'm coming in. Oh, the character's got their weapon up. I'm bringing my weapon up. I'm going to start shooting because they're pointing at me straight away. Oh, I'm taking damage. I've got to go and find this hill spot. What's my other friends doing that are with me? And they use this brain sort of system that runs through a state machine. That's very different to a very basic tree system that's in here.
Yeah, right now mine, like I said, it's brain dead stupid. Like it's a simple script. When I have a state system, so I go through a couple different states. When I enter the select destination state, all of the bots go through all of their characters and pick what they think is the best destination, which is the nearest enemy that has the best priority, or a potion. If they're low on health and there's a potion in range, or there's a potion anywhere on the map, then they'll go for the potion. Just so that way I can spawn potions and the bots will randomly roam to them, because I don't have any intelligent stuff to make them go scout and look yet. But I figure that's all the kind of crap they can add later, depending on if single player versus bots actually ends up being an interesting thing. And it's not just multiplayer. The multiplayer is really what I wanted to put it together for and kind of learn, but the bots were necessary as a way to be able to test and build things and kind of like actually have a game without being connected constantly and get the whole process and the workflow down first. Let's hide that question. If you wanted to enter the giveaway, by the way, all you have to do is choose a race and a class. There's a couple options right there. Let's make it bigger for 1 second so you can see them again. You just pick a wizard, assassin. I'm a bomb necromancer right now. And the first one to lose will get a copy of Andrew's awesome low poly scorpion pack, and the winner will get a 1-year JetBrains writer license. So let me see. There was one other question I thought I wanted to pop up, but I don't know where it went. Were there any other questions you guys wanted to take or answer before we jump over to talking about some Mastermind stuff? No? Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to kick off the giveaway in like 2 minutes. Give everybody a second to enter that hasn't entered. We'll start it. We'll find the loser, and then we'll start talking about the Mastermind group stuff. And I want to show what I put together for that and see what you guys think. See if there's a better way to do it. There's one other thing that I wanted to ask you guys, though, while people enter, because it's something that I've been kind of up in the air about and not sure what I want to do, and that's with my whole UI system here. So let me pull this up again. This is another benefit of having you guys around here. So right now, my UI, I don't like at all. The way that it works is like I click on a character and it pops up, shows me where I can walk and all that. And then here I've got my different characters. Obviously, this is so freaking tiny, you probably can't even tell what any of this stuff is. But I was trying to show that like this is a character, that's the spider, that's his target, that's my health, and there's my action. There's way too much stuff in a tiny little thing, and I think it's totally unusable. I was curious if you guys had some thoughts on just UI options. My initial one was I had a thing down here that showed all of the characters, and then it showed like each character going through character by character and highlighted them. But then when I put in 4 players, there's just too many things there, and that didn't make sense. So I wanted to be able to show the player, one, like what characters they still need to give commands to, and 2, what characters are going to move next or are moving or doing their thing. So I can see like, hey, this character is doing something now, and this one's next. Like that, just a little preview.
First thing that comes to mind for me is maybe like, yeah, you are bombarding the player with a bit too much information at the moment, and I feel like in a game like I keep referencing Fire Emblem because I feel like they've done this for a long time, but you can, in Fire Emblem, you choose what information you want. So if you hover your cursor over an enemy, you can see, for example, the range that they can move on, right? So like you hover over something and you say, okay, they can move onto these steps. You know, the spider can move here. So then you can anticipate what to do next. So it's basically you're choosing what you want to see. And since it is a turn-based game and it's your turn and the enemy's turn, I don't think maybe just showing player 1, for example, if you're player 1, only showing your character and what they're targeting rather than seeing all the other characters' targets at all times, because that's a lot of things to look at, possibly. And so just and separating everything. So just having the characters and their healths in one place, for example, and then, you know, if I hover over my character, I can see their range, or there can be like I can immediately see who I'm targeting with like a circle UI. So my spider has a green circle, and that same green circle is on this enemy, and this other character has another shape or colored circle, and that is on the other enemy, for example. So you're kind of separating the information, putting some stuff on the board so it's part of the game, and leaving a minimal amount of stuff on the actual UI, and only showing what your character has rather than showing all the characters at once.
Yeah, there was actually a mobile game called Hero Academy, going back quite a bit, but it was a turn-based game that had a very clean UI, and you were a lot closer to the board. The thing with building a UI like this, where you've got lots of things around the outside, suddenly the board is getting smaller and smaller and smaller on the screen.
Yeah,
that's where all the visual gorgeousness is of your game. So
Yeah.
bringing that board closer and being able to get context of, I click on this character, it gives me extra. And it's also about what context you want to know at what point. So if I'm looking at the board as a total strategy, I'm saying, okay, that character's weak, that character's healthy, that character's weak. I start to learn how far those characters can move because I've pressed that, I've played with that character previously. I know the spider can move this, I know the paladin can move this, I know their attack ranges are that, and I learn that as I play more and more. And just pressing on those to then be able to do that. So I don't need that contextual information constantly. And I've got the little health marker over them to tell me what health is there for each one as well. And I don't need to know the numbers, though. I could press on it and have the health expand and give me the numbers on the health.
Yeah.
I could see quick context. I'm looking at the board, nice and close. These are the things that are there. That's what's around me. Those are the health of the other ones. That's what I can play out.
And because you're more actively seeking the information, you're more likely to learn it and remember it rather than it being given to you at all times. Yeah, that's a great point.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of what was there. Last call, by the way. If you want to enter the giveaway, I'm going to hit the button in like 30 seconds. But one of the things I was realizing as you guys were talking about is a lot of the info that was there, like the enemy's targets and all that health. It was largely because I was debugging while I was doing netcode for game objects. And I was like, I really want to see all this stuff on the UI. So I'm just going to put it here. I didn't think about it doesn't actually make sense to leave it there for the players. It was a lot of it was like, I want to see like that they're targeting the right things. Their health is right on all the clients and everything is matching up without thinking through like, yeah, maybe I should just hide 90% of the stuff. That helps a lot.
And this is an extra tip for people that are developing in Unity and any game engine. Having an extra window that actually gives you a breakdown of everything that's happening in a nice visual acuity sets, like you can see everything that's going on that doesn't appear in the game, but is just there for you to debug, is really, really helpful. So whenever I create these games, I have another window that sits by the side that gives me all the information on all the characters that are on screen at that time, and also has a kill or heal button as quick options to let me heal or kill those characters to see how that debugs and plays through as well. Yep. Is huge. Make sure your life goes so much quicker, and also it doesn't lead to the distraction of having UI on there on your screen that stops you seeing how the rest of your UI is developing. And it's fine when you're early on, like you are, Jetson. As it moves later on, I do see some people that end up leaving UI on screen that should have never have been there because it was there for them to debug. So when you're learning to be a game developer and all the rest of it, sometimes you end up leaving these things that you shouldn't leave on there, and you'll obviously remove it. But yeah, having an extra window that has all this stuff in a really quick, seeable fashion, rather than you pressing on every component character to find that character, is really helpful as well.
Yeah.
Makes
I do a lot of the streams with Unity where we're interviewing a bunch game developers who have released big games. And so one thing I found is they always show us their debug menus, and they're always so rich by the time they get to the end of the project. So if you check out the Unity Tech Stream Creator Spotlights, you'll see these. So for example, the developer of 12 minutes has this insane debug menu where you can play any animation from the game at any point and cut to any moment in the game just at the click of a button. The developers of Greek have these really cool diegetic debug tools. For example, you can shoot an arrow and your character will teleport to where the arrow goes. So it's like a way to quickly teleport around the level while playing the game. And I noticed that a lot of them put a lot of effort into making the menu look like it's part of the game. It just makes the experience that much just nicer for you as a developer as you're building the game, especially if you're streaming your development. That it helps a lot, or sharing GIFs and things like that. Having it look visually attractive and be cohesive with the aesthetic of the game, I would consider doing that as well.
Yeah,
it's not that much harder.
I done a recent video actually where you could use the scene view and just raycast into the scene view that let characters move around on paths. So like you're talking about the arrow that sends them to teleport. I boot up the scene view and then I press a location on the scene view, and then that character will actually navigate to that point using the scene view rather than in the world. So I can test my navigation, and also I can test things that are happening in the world. But yeah, Unity's got great options for doing that sort of thing.
I wanted to say congrats to Avery real quick, and just send me an email to get your scorpion pack because you died first. So
so we're doing the died first thing? Okay, nice. Oh, I just died. No, guitar.
Oh, you died too late. I know. I thought you were gonna win. Second. It was funny. I was like, oh, he's gonna lose first, but no. Avery got it. So send me an email, and I'll send you over that.
You're telling me the Sunflower Bard didn't win the grand battle?
No, apparently not.
Harsh.
For a while, their bards were way overpowered, and so were sunflowers. So they both got
really?
Yeah. Bards had like 3 of every stat or something crazy, or 7. I don't know. It was something nuts for a while because nobody would ever pick bards. So I buffed the crap out of them one day,
and
then I nerfed them because then everybody picked bards. Now everybody picks wizards just because they have extra damage. But I don't know. I like necros. They lifesteal. Now, we'll let this battle begin and go through. And I think I wanted to really quickly show the Mastermind setup and start talking a little bit about that. So let me see. How can I screen share more than one thing at a time? I can't. So we'll speed up the giveaway. This is why you add speed controls to your games, so you can make them go fast. Oh man, look at all these people dying so quickly. We'll get down to the semifinals. Wait, what was my max? 20x. Yeah, I think once I got past like 20x, it just stopped working.
This also shows that it's a well-designed application that can be done fast and doesn't have to, like, do things at a certain speed. So that's nice.
Yes. I thought it was important to be able to scale it up, speed it up, slow it down, so that we can go through as many fights as possible in case we end up with like 10,000 people in here.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
Able to finish the fight.
You never know.
Apparently, the stream is capped at 720p. That's probably a restream issue. I don't think I can change that now if that's what's going on. Let me double check that though.
Yeah, 720.
I hate when that happens. I don't know why that happens. It's set
sometimes Stream, whenever I come back on it lowers everything again. It's like, no, you want your mic quality at this, you want your video quality at this. It's like,
yeah,
I bought the expensive stuff for a reason.
At least my internet's not cutting out, but that's probably largely because I ended up setting up that second internet so I could switch back and forth because I was getting problems when we were doing the tests earlier this morning. I was just talking to Hassan. All right, so we're down to 60 people. Half of you have been eliminated already. And then we'll see if it gets through all of them. We'll find our final winner. Then I can screen share the gather page, which is why I got to kill everybody quickly so we can screen share the other page. They can't see it until we have a winner here and I can hide them. It's going. By the way, I might actually have one of those Tilt 5 tables next week. So, yeah, maybe I'll bring it by, Dave, or you can bring your wife by. They can have a wife talking and we can play with tables.
We can play with video games. Yeah, okay.
But I think that might be coming next week. So I'm kind of excited to start playing with that tabletop thing on there, which is also going to heavily influence my my UI design and decisions and stuff. So I just go into there's something I've been thinking about, like how I'm going to make that actually work there.
Call up Aaron and Andy and have a game dev, a home game dev again.
Yeah, have a little hackathon. It would be fun because it's definitely like a neat. I mean, I'll let you know once I have it and start playing with it. But from what I've seen, it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to experiment with and play with. And I really want to try like doing some mixed reality stuff in there if that's possible. I think that would be really cool. Do like videos where you can see the holograms. I think that would be really neat. So we'll see how that goes, though. Oh, come on, battlers, fight! Twisted Liver and Jules. Who's gonna win? I'm gonna speed them up.
Oh, we're almost there.
Oh, okay. Congrats there, Jules. Let's see. We got 8 fighters left. Oh, that's like a perfect number. just enough for the semifinals. We're still going to 2x them, though, because... Oh, Dave, you're back there. You got the little snowman bomb. Yeah, warped imagination right back there.
You would have to say it and then I die. That literally on you, that is, for pointing me out.
You got lots and lots of dragons. Dragons are getting nerfed. That's it. Everybody keeps picking dragons. I'm going to have to nerf them. And to make them like, I don't know what they'll do.
They should have a nice mix of wizard, warrior, necromancer, and paladin. It's not all just one-sided.
Yeah, I think the classes are pretty balanced. Yeah, I think even the races are balanced. It's just that everybody picks dragon because it looks like a dragon. And you just assume that a dragon's going to be able to beat things. What do we got left? Let's see. Last 4 fighters.
But do the races actually do anything as far as...
Yes.
Oh, they do?
The races and the classes both have stats, and they both stack, and they both stack times your number of wins. So by your 3rd win, they're triple.
We need to have a wiki page released on this so I can really min-max my selections.
Yeah, same. I mean, I can't believe I chose Sunflower Bard.
Yeah, I need to run the math.
I did export the scriptable objects. So the scriptable objects are actually exported and linked down below, so somebody can grab an empty Unity project, import them, and see what the stat values are. I think it would be interesting though to have them like on a web page, so, like on a service where people could see them like live as you change them, and then just have a service so we can set them up and change them. Maybe do that with like I forget what it was called, the Unity one that does the settings. There's like that settings API that allows you to do custom settings for your game. You just do it right in there. I wonder if that would work.
Can I
wizard versus warrior now?
Can I boost my stats by backing you on Patreon?
Not yet.
Can I pay to win?
We need to add that, but no. Oh, look at that! The warrior beat the wizard.
Ooh!
Show that extra damage doesn't always beat extra health.
Right, so we're picking dragon next time, Andrew.
Dragon warrior. All right. Well, congrats, VitOrbs. I'm not sure how you say that, but yeah, congrats, and send me an email. I will shoot you the code for your free 1-year JetBrains writer license. Should be pretty awesome. All right, let's see. Let's find the right window here. We'll drag it over here, and I'll show everybody what we've got set up for the Mastermind matchmaking stuff. So I don't know who's seen this. Hassan saw this. I think that's it, right? Dave, you haven't seen this, right?
Yeah, I saw this.
Nope, not seen it yet.
So to make it easy, the hardest part that I had with getting people together for groups is time zones, getting people into a call that actually is easy for them to make regularly, that they could show up to once a week without it being a problem. And it's really, really difficult when you give people all these time ranges and then have them try to mix and match them, and then people's times availability changes and stuff. So what I've set up here is a room that you'll be able to join. In fact, you can actually join it right now. If you look down in the description right now, it's already open. It looks like people are coming in. You can join in, and we've got a room here or a little section here for each hour of the day. And if you go up to the time, if you're curious to see what the time is, you can hit X, and it will show you a little preview of the time zone conversion. So it's 12. This one down below is 12 p.m. UTC or 8 a.m. Eastern on the same day. So it's got the day here on each rug. So Wednesday, we got Sunday, Monday, obviously Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and each one has the date where the first meeting would be. So it'd be if this was the perfect time for you, as Friday the 7/1, so July 1st at 8 a.m. Eastern. If that's like the perfect time for you, like every Friday at 8 a.m., then this would be like the rug that you would want to run to and see if there are people here. Now, if it's not, there's not enough people here to form a group, we need about 4 to 6, like I said, then you could always just go over maybe like an hour ahead or an hour before and see if maybe there's a time that there are some people with. There is one issue. I was dumb and I didn't make this a square so it doesn't loop around, and you have to go all the way to the end if you're on one of the 2 edges, because I didn't think about it thoroughly.
Could you just put a portal at the end that took you back to the beginning?
I will. I'll do that. I'll make a portal at one. Thank you, Dave. See, this is why you need these groups. They have people to talk to tell you the thing that instead of wasting a day redoing this thing, I can now just add a portal and and save time. So I'm going to do that real quick. We'll add a portal. And if you want to join, you want to get into a group, just look in the description. There's a link, and I will drop it into chat as well as soon as I figure out how to do that. So I got to click on this link. I got to scroll down, and then I've got to copy my link. And I'll drop it into chat so you guys can join as well. So go ahead and hop in and start looking for, you don't have to turn on your mic and camera if you don't want to, but you're welcome to. But start looking for an area, a time that looks like what would work for you for a meetup. And once you're on a rug, see if you can find a couple other people to join up on there. And let me see if I can, once I get the link in here, I'll talk a little bit more about it. So the meetup link.
Doesn't seem
link.
like letting me in yet, so it might not be open to everybody.
Okay, do you see the link in chat here? Just dropped it. You should be able to join through there, I think. If not, then I will make sure that it's opened up.
The link did not work for me. It went to an oops page.
Oh, it says join event. Here's, let me put the link in. It's not quite open. Let me open it. I think the people that are in here were already in. So we'll just go.
They never left. They've been there since 2 weeks ago.
Home. I'm gonna do it right now so that it opens up. I thought I had set it up to open half an hour before, but apparently not. So that's in. I will find this option.
Roberto Guajardo asks, I just joined the live. What is this for? Is it for a game jam or something like that?
It's a very good question. Hold on, I will show you. Let me see if this works. Okay, so it's for this. There you go. Here's the link. It's up on my screen right now. I'm going to spam it in chat again. What we're going to do is put together the mastermind groups for people who have been wanting to get into a game development mastermind group with other game developers. All you've got to do is join the link there. You'll have to sign in if you're not already signed in to Gather. And then you hit join. You can customize your character later. I wouldn't worry about it yet. You can do it now if you want, but you can worry about it later if you want. And then once you get into here, all you've got to do, the first step is to figure out what time would be good for you to meet at. So if 7 a.m. UTC or 3 a.m. Eastern is a good time for you, then you go find the day of the week and then go hang out on that rug. As soon as you get onto this rug, then you see it lights up this area here, and only the people that are on this rug will hear me when I turn on my video. So if I go over here, I can turn on my video and my audio, and we can start having a discussion and start figuring out what the people that are on this rug are doing and whether or not it's going to be a group that kind of makes sense and fits. I think that for the most part, I wouldn't worry too much about what the other people are doing and worry more about the time zones and the availability so that you can find a group that's at a time that makes sense for you. And again, each one of these rugs is color coded. So we've got Sunday through Saturday, starts with Sunday on green. You see, and I actually have the date marked here for when the first meeting would be. And then it ends with Saturday at the end of each thing in white. The time zones, again, right here on these little things that you can hit X to pop up. And then for some of them, like you can see, let's go back over far enough to the left. If I go over to like 3 UTC, it's important to note that the Eastern time there is actually the day before the time that shows there. The way time zones work and days work. I wanted to make sure this was very obvious. So I didn't put all the time zones, just UTC and Eastern. Hopefully that's enough that people can convert. I didn't put my own. I figured that was fair. So if you're interested in joining a group, all you've got to do is get in here and then find the rug that makes sense for you, go stand on it, and then see if we can get a couple more people onto there. Once you have 3 or 4 people, send me a message. So you can send a message. I believe you can just go to the room right here. And let's see, where do you find the people?
Where do you? So I have a question. I am outside of the. I'm on the grass outside of the conference room from the.
I think just hit skip tutorial.
And you'd like to get into here. There's right by the center, there's a pillar with balloons and stuff. Well, I put a teleporter right there that comes into this room.
The problem is I can't even get inside. I am outside of the entire thing on the grass. I can't get inside the building.
Isn't there a skip tutorial on the right? Aren't you? I think you're in the tutorial section.
I don't think so.
No? Oh, it teleported me right to the. I hit skip tutorial and I ended up right in the room. Yeah.
So yeah, I was messing up as well.
Let me see. I'm gonna try to follow somebody. Can I try to follow somebody?
I'll come in.
Oh yes, try following. That might just teleport you right to them.
Nobody's
I
near.
see faces here.
Wait, Virgo, you need to stop moving.
Oh, now I'm
can follow
actually
you.
now I just appear in the thing.
There we go. Follow. All right, now
I'm
you can
adding
move,
you to
Virgo.
teleporter real quick.
I don't know. Now Virgo stopped moving like I asked, and I'm
What?
following somebody, but they're not moving. I don't know.
Andy, go to the middle. You know where that spire was?
I can't get into the middle. This is the problem.
Wait,
Oh.
hold on. Can you screen share and show me where you're at?
Yeah, let's see if I can
Now
screen
I'm
share.
curious. I want to see. Maybe I can figure out a way to get you out of there.
Let's see. Let me share the screen.
So yeah, Rob George, the game dev gather. If you go to the center of it, there's that pillar, and then just below that's like a blue circle on a grey background. It's like a little tiny. It looks like a portal basically. That will take you into this area.
Can you see my screen here?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you screen sharing it in here?
Yeah, I thought so. Share my screen. Share. Oh, I have to. It says I have to update something to share my screen.
Oh, can you just share the tab? No, just share it in Restream. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Rob George got it.
Let me see. Let me see if I can do just the window. Share the window. It says, please update system preferences. Oh,
weird.
Yeah, I guess it's probably
Cool IT. Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yeah, I've got to give accessibility to Restream, I guess, or to Chrome.
You got to give your credit card number to Jason.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to quit and reopen, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, we can get you back in there. I'm trying to get the teleporter going across both sides of the room. Let's see if it worked. So I added a teleporter on each side so you can port through. Hopefully people are starting to find times. Looks like I've got a couple people here finding different times and days at
the teleporter works, but you've only got it on one, so it's only visually on one side.
Okay, yeah, I didn't drop the model down on the other side yet. Let me do that. I didn't think it actually saved. That's perfect. It's a little bit weird when you switch back and forth between modes. Oh, whoops. Don't need to do more. I've got one right here. And, whoops, wrong spot. There we go. Save. All right, so now you can teleport from one end to the other. So yeah, everybody, if you've... Oh, look. It looks like we've actually got a group forming up here. It looks like for Friday at 7 p.m. It's after people.
What happens if there's more people for a time? Oh, I suppose there's several rugs on each time zone. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I figured if there were a lot of people that all want to be at the exact same time, we can form one group and then split into two or form two groups. It looks like I got a couple here. At what time is this? 6 p.m. on Monday. I figured there would probably be a lot of those like right after work times and right before works. Oh, Andrew's back and I didn't get him popped in. So let's get him in here and then let's get him rescued. Oh no, I see what's happened. You are outside the world there. That is
guys, let me in.
So let's go. I'm gonna go back to the conference thing. I'm gonna cut.
Do you have your pass, Andrew?
Right there.
You need the conference pass.
Well, if you will go around cheating the system, Andrew.
This is just like high school.
Just locked out. You can watch.
No. You can only get
One
in
of
if
the
you
walls isn't real.
sign up to Jason's Patreon.
Yeah. And pay my $1 a month.
All right, Andrew, go to the first chair over there, and then go down to the right. The yellow chair down. Oh, to the left. Up there. There's a hole right there in one of those spots. Two more over. Oh, it's still saving. There you go. Now try it. It's just finished. To the left, right there.
I'm in.
Woo.
Welcome.
Now, where do I go?
Bring a go-kart into the mastermind. So you should just be able to walk onto that portal and it'll teleport you in. If it works. Down
the
below. Portal right
there.
there.
There you go.
I'm in.
Oh, he bought a go-kart into
Brought a
the
go-kart.
world.
He's the only one with a go-kart in here.
There's another one. I think there was another one.
Oh, wait. Jeremy Green says, click your name and choose respawn. I think that would have brought you straight to the room, maybe.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
there's another go-kart.
Learn something. Another cheat.
How do I get a go kart? I want a go kart.
There's one right by the middle.
Oh man.
Need a go kart, Hassan. Let's see.
By
I
5
know.
UTC.
By 5 UTC.
17 UTC.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, there you go. Somebody took it.
Game's good.
Let's see. Let's
Oh, there's
follow
more
you.
than one. This is hilarious. It's like Mario Kart.
What do the
Everybody's
rugs
gonna be
mean
doing a
again?
go-karting.
The rugs are the days of the week. So if you go step on one and hit X, it'll tell you which day and the actual date to make it really obvious
nice.
for people with time zones. So it'd be at that date would be the first one, and it'd be the same day, same time, recurring afterwards.
Nice.
So okay,
And
there you
then
are. So here,
all these
stand
people
still real
standing on
quick.
a rug are like kumbayaing together.
Oh, we've got a nice group here at 6 p.m. UTC.
Yeah, it looks like that one's gonna form into a group. Nice. Let's see. Go karts. I'm trying to spawn you a
Oh.
go kart real quick. Here's a go kart. I'll put a go kart station right here. There we go.
Where'd
I
you
don't know
put
why
it?
there's go karts at it though. I don't know. I'm not sure what I've missed there. I went to go karts. And there was a station. Ride a go kart around, but there's no carts. Interesting. I just walk up to it and hit the button to get a go kart. I don't know. I'll just have to add some go karts in the editor mode then. All right, so let's see. Here's my big. I'm gonna make my view big for a second. Or Andrew, you want to make your view? We'll make your view big. You see any groups forming up yet?
I do. We got a group here. So right now we're at 18 UTC. So for those who might be wondering, right now is 1800 UTC apparently. So these folks apparently like. I think this is Saturday at. Hey, my cart. Give me a cart back. Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time for me. And then we've got a bunch here at 19. So this is the folks at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, late
No, hang on,
night
that's not
Europe
right.
time. So
No, it's
anyone in like
UTC is 8 hours in front.
Nice.
what time is it now UTC?
It's 6 p.m. UTC at the moment. And it's 11 a.m. for us. No, hang on. Yeah.
I looked up. The
Oh,
other
still
problem is,
nice.
of course, times daylight savings times and whatnot. But there's definitely some groups. There's
Screwing us.
nobody over here. Oh, there's some people right there at 2200 UTC. There's definitely some hours that have nobody there. And
Not
the
too
days though,
surprising.
Mondays and
Sanwazar, it's currently 7 hours difference. They're 6 p.m. UTC to our PST, which is 11 a.m.
So
You should see that on the 20 one, right? If you go to 20 would be no, that's 8.
So
Sorry,
right now
18.
we are at 1800 UTC is right now. So
I'm running all around here.
I guess it is interesting though, based on people's own personal schedules and their location in the world, you might get some people who are coming in at night, others in the morning, other in midday. But it is good to see there's definitely some people coalescing. So this group has extra. There's 9 here, so room for some to
Splinter
off or to not show up every single time, which will probably happen. Some names I recognize: Scott Hendricks. I know Scott. I think Andrew is there as well. So yeah, there's some lots of folks there. Let's see, anyone over here on the left? Nope, only David Green, way over here,
standing off to the side. Don't show where I am.
himself, like a loser.
Anybody can find you just by hitting follow.
Oh, why would you tell people that?
Just run over there and start getting you. But yeah,
Give
once
me
you've found
harassment.
a time and you've got a group together that you think is going to work, if there's somebody there who wants to just take charge, send me an email. with the list of people in the group, and we will set up the Discord server, set up everything for you, and send everybody in some calendar invites to just kind of help get it going. Obviously, be able to run everything, do everything on your own. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but if you want to get the Discord stuff set up and all that, then shoot it over, and I will go through and get those all done this week before the next before the meeting times. So we can hopefully get, like I said, maybe a dozen groups formed up today, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I guess we'll see.
Do you want to give them your email address?
Yes. So I will drop my email address in the chat here.
You might want to put it on a note.
Choose this one, the jason@game.courses one, because if you use my Gmail one, it may get lost in the giant amount.
Like there's extra spots. There you go. There's extra spots at the bottom. If you want to chat to the people who are standing on the mat.
You can always ghost in as well.
G and ghost onto them if it's too full. I added a couple extra spots, and then you can hold G, ghost onto, and kind of stack up people if you need to, if there's not enough space. But I figured 8 was probably plenty where they would kind of start filling up. But if you need a stack, you can.
So would you suggest then once you get on that rug, start talking to each other?
Definitely start talking to each other. Start talking and see. Make sure that the time is going to work for each other. Just really briefly, what I would do is say, like, hey, I'm whoever I am. Like, I'm Jason. I'm working on some games. Been doing it for 3 years. Whatever. Done. That's it. Doesn't have to be a long intro. Just a real quick one. Say your name. Make sure that your mic works. And that's it. Or if you need to just type in chat because you can't use voice right now, that's fine too. But just say hello, talk to the people, and get your email addresses shared. So the number one thing would be share your email addresses so that you can get them over to me with whoever is going to be temporarily in charge of dealing with this stuff. And I say temporarily in charge, really it's just whoever wants to take on the responsibility of sending me the info. So whoever's decided that they're willing to do that, send them your email and your name, and then I'll send over the invites to make sure that you've got the Discord link to join the call each week, and you've got the chat so that you can talk with each other and everything else. So all you got to do is get that info to that person. If you have questions, drop them in the chat, either in YouTube or shoot me a message. I think you can just send me a message directly. Looks like I've got yep, looks like we got one group formed already. Perfect.
So just a heads up for all the folks in the 1900 section, the 2000 section has only Pavel here, and he looks very lonely. So if some of you are like, oh, there's a lot of people over here,
I want to go 1 hour ahead.
1 hour ahead, yeah,
or
1
later.
hour later. You know,
I'd love it if loads of people move over and then Pavel moves back. It's like I really wanted to get in the earlier one. No, there's enough space.
So no pressure, but yeah, there's definitely a bunch of groups.
There's some room here at 5 UTC on.
It seems like middle of the week is very popular too. That would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe everyone needs a break. David's still off there in the corner like a loser. Just like high school.
Brutal.
I know.
Yeah, actually, that was kind of like harsh but true.
Wednesday's a good day for meetups. I sometimes go to the Mastermind like group that Jason had set up many years ago on Wednesday nights. It's a good night.
Yeah, it seems like Wednesday is the one. At 4 p.m., you've got Gregory on his own or on their own. Maybe.
What, 4 p.m. UTC?
4 p.m. UTC Wednesday.
Yes, Gregory's very, very sad.
I'm gonna scout for more.
He's very sad by himself.
Oh, Gregory. You're on stream. Welcome.
waiting for somebody to come to that time.
If anybody. Chancius, you gonna do it, Chancius?
These folks are doing up here. There's Tormods right there. Say hello to the world.
People are struggling. They're like, we're not sure if we should be paying attention to the stream or the groups.
I would say if you've got into a group, pay attention to the group. If you're still looking for one, then pay attention to both.
Yeah.
until you can get into the group. The whole is to get everybody really into a group. And I just added a couple go-karts in case anybody wanted one. So there's a go-kart station now at 2 o'clock UTC.
Good, because I lost my go-kart. Does my audio come through if people are talking?
No, your desktop audio, no.
Yeah. All right.
Restream, I think it's just picking up your mic. You'll just hear it.
All right, good. Because just in case somebody says something inappropriate, not like any of you guys would ever say anything inappropriately, but you know.
Can you show them where the chat window is so that they can start talking?
So the chat window is
right.
It's on the right, and then you've got the room, which is everybody. Hi, everyone. And then the nearby, which is just the people close to you. So, yeah. Oh, I guess, and it shows your history of chats too. So the people nearby. So now I can click on these people and you say, "Oh, I better life," and send that. So for direct messages, or you can click on the people here. I think too. No, maybe up here. No, you can't do that. So yes, nearby. We'll get the people right close to you if you want to isolate those folks.
3 messages so far that we've got groups made, which is great. This is perfect. This is what I was hoping for. We can get as many groups as possible in. So if you haven't joined a group yet, there's still groups being formed. There's still times available. Just come in, look around, find one that works for you. Make sure that it's one that works for you, though. Don't just go join a group on a time that you're not going to be able to make it to. It should be something that's convenient for you and makes sense for you to join regularly, and you can actually get to. So find one that works and then hop onto that spot, or find one that's close enough to it, and hopefully we can get maybe at least a couple more groups going. So if we want to meet people with similar experience, how do we just filter for that? That's a little bit harder. So because of the way that the time zones are, it's really, really difficult to get people exactly matched on skill and time zone. That's why I wanted to have this be somewhat open conversation. So I recommend you go jump onto the tiles, talk to people, figure out if it's a good fit. And if it's not, then maybe jump over to a different one that makes more sense. If everybody there is a beginner and you're 20 years in and it's not going to be a good fit, then definitely switch over. Or if it's kind of the opposite and you feel like everybody there is way outside your league and it's not going to be a good fit, then jump to the other one. But I would generally recommend having a good mix. You don't want to have all beginners or all advanced experienced people, because the conversations back and forth between the two are going to make a big difference. And it's I think you want to have a variety there. So there was a question saying, I'm a little bit confused what the groups are for. So the groups are going to meet weekly. I've got a page up. Let me pull this up for 1 second. Game.courses/mm. So I've got this. Oh, we've got Al coming in too. Nice. Welcome. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to make my screen bigger and drag this over and explain really quickly. The groups are just, it's going to be a set of developers. 4 to 6 is my general recommended size, that meet every week and just talk about what it is you're working on, what problems you're having, and kind of help each other through. It's supposed to be a regular set of the same people that you're talking to each week, showing what you're doing, where you're going, and kind of helping each other along the way. That's the goal. They're super helpful. We had a long talk about it earlier. I definitely recommend that you get in it. And if you can't fit onto your mat because it's too full, just hold G. You can ghost onto people and get onto there instead. Let me full screen this.
So most of my book.
And then switch the view. This is a very, very strange view. This is a lot of stuff on the screen. So I'm trying to get rid of all these freaking spam bots that want to have sex with me real quick.
Yeah. So have you heard about the new thing that Jason is trying out?
Oh, I'm hearing somebody's audio in the background. Is that me?
That was probably one of my. I went onto a mat in my speakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's put. Oops.
Why'd you put that?
I like that. I was trying to click to ban the person and I popped it up.
Wow. And they're like, oh, I just got my bonus pay.
Yeah, this is the spam. They're like, oh yeah, does anybody actually like type that in and go there? That's what I want to know. Like, who is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go type in naked-xd.xyz
There's somebody who will go just to see what it is, and then
and
they're
get their
gonna get
computer infected. Like,
their
no, I
computer
haven't had a
infected. And
virus.
they're gonna be like, "Oh, that was nothing. That was a weird site. It was nothing. There was nothing there," and then they don't know that they're infected. That's what's gonna happen.
I can totally see that happening. All right, so let's see. Do we have any more groups forming? Have you seen any more groups come together?
Same ones it looks like. So if
Yeah, there's
there's a little
definitely
bit more at
popular times.
1900 UTC is very popular. There's a little bit more here at a different day. So I would definitely go looking around there. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now though.
Okay, I'll pop mine up.
You got a few
Run
early
around.
ones on. So 2 UTC. It was very popular. 3 UTC.
Oh, let's go check them out. Let's hop in the go-kart real quick. Whoosh. We're driving over there. There is a go-kart stand, a couple go-karts around if you need
I'm
one.
back. I had a great time in one of the chats.
Oh, good.
I was chatting with Rob and Adam in one of the groups. It's good fun. It's good fun.
Oh, cool. Is that
Yeah.
the 2 UTC one right here?
Yes. No, 1 p. It was 1. It's like 1 p.m. UTC.
Oh, okay. Over
Yeah, so
here.
like 13
Nice.
down here. Yeah. So excuse me if you notice me talking, but with no audio.
Yeah, I saw you were in some sort of a conversation there. So
yeah, I was in one of the groups.
that's cool. I'm hopeful that we get a bunch of groups here and that a lot of the people who wanted to start a group can. If you don't get a full set of people, maybe you only get like 2 or 3, it's fine. Just we'll come back next week or the week after that and do another round and try to fill them up. So just kind of stay in contact with that person and we'll build it into a bigger group. You can also, of course, totally free to recruit for the group outside of here. You don't have to just have people from here. If you have like a friend who you think would be a great fit and you want to pull them in on your group, then hit them up and say, hey, get this group. I want you to join. I think you might be interested in. If they think it's a good fit, then pull them in on it too. There's no need to have it only be people that you've met through here. All of my groups, like if I meet somebody that I think is a good fit, I'm like, hey, you have this meeting. We have some space and I think you'd be a good fit. You should hop in. And I think that you guys should do the same. Let's see. Another message here. Large group of maybe 8. Awesome. Let me put in my message to send me that email. And that's at 1800 on Thursday. Let's go check that out. Say hi to the group of 1800. I really like this interface. It's super neat. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, there's a lot of 1800s. So you guys seen anything interesting in here? I don't know if I have a whole lot to say. I just kind of want to let people get into the groups and get together.
I like your
You guys
fedora. Jason.
What's that?
I like your fedora. Your character's hat.
Your wizard hat.
Wizard's hat. I thought it was a fedora.
No.
My bad.
Okay.
I think the name tag is covering the little pointy tip.
It is. It's covering the point. It definitely is. And then it's circled out and cut too. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see. Oh, Mike's system is too weak to run that gather. I'm surprised. I haven't seen that yet. Although I've only tried it on my laptop and my desktop, but
This is such a great idea.
Oh, it's a bots. Okay. Yeah, I really hope people can get lots of groups together and get these things working.
You can see Logan at the end is guarding the teleporter.
I did not.
Oh, they're gone now. Never mind.
Remember, you can just ghost through them stuff. It's easy to get away. Ah, I lost my go-kart. Jump back in. All right. So, do you guys have any advice for people starting out their mastermind groups? I wanted to talk a little bit about what I would recommend people do, which I think I briefly kind of covered earlier. But do you guys have just general thoughts or advice that you found works really well outside of making sure that you kind of time limit it and make sure that everybody has time to go around? You guys got thoughts?
Yeah, the main one being just be respectful of other people's time. You are not the most important person in the room, unless your name's David Green.
Of course.
So,
you're in the room by yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then you could talk as much as you want. But yeah, keep to a sort of a schedule. Tell everybody, give a 5-minute show of what you're working on, and then let everybody go through what they're working on within 5 minutes to start off with, and then have a discussion about it afterwards. So at least, because the problem is if somebody goes, I'm working on this, and then it's like, oh, that's great. And 2 other people jump in and they're like, oh, I love space adventures. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Suddenly the hour's taken up from just that first person's 5 minutes of discussing what they're doing. So what I would say is let everybody have their 5 minutes. If you've got 5 people in your group, it's only going to take 25 minutes to kick off. And then after that 25 minutes, then open it up and start having a discussion about what everybody's doing. Because then at least everybody gets 5 minutes in, just to give a quick thing. You might even want to say everybody gets 5 minutes and then it's 5 minutes back and forth about that idea. And we roll through. So everybody's got 10 minutes just on their thing. But you've got to be respectful of other people. Otherwise, people won't want to join your group. It's no point in having a mastermind group if it's just you sitting there talking on your own for an hour because everybody else went, no, that guy, Jason, just comes in and talks for an hour and nobody else gets a word in edgeways. So
I think the round of 5 minutes makes a lot of sense, especially for the first couple meetings, because you'll get used to each other. You'll start talking, and then eventually you'll see who talks more and who talks less, and you can kind of like figure that all out along the way. But hard limiting it, I think really short makes a lot of sense. And some people won't even go to the 5 minutes. Sometimes people will be shorter than that because they're just not that talkative yet.
And put a 5-minute clock up on the share a clock of 5 minutes counting down so everybody knows exactly what they've got when they've got it. And make sure everybody sticks to the rule.
That's it.
Also, keep it relevant for the first section. I used to run sprints at Sony, and one thing I used to say to people is, everybody gets their 5 minutes to just discuss what they're going to be doing for the day and what their challenges are and what happened yesterday. But the one thing I made very clear to people is what did you do down the bar last night? What games are you playing? What games are you having fun with? Do that after we've done everybody talking about what they're there to talk about.
That's a good point. I've been in so many meetings that just like deteriorated into just like shooting the shit and just talking about their day or their night.
The companies I work with, I have very strict requirements on what is a meeting. So if you're going to call me up for a calendar meeting, you have to put something in the description. Otherwise, I just dismiss it. I'm like, no, you put something in the description telling me what you want to talk about and what the goal is of this meeting, and then I will come to your meeting. Otherwise, I'm just not interested. Also, tell me why it's more than half an hour, and half an hour increments is what I keep it to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like people will default a 1 hour meeting. It's like just a thing. It's like a reflex without really...
It's what all the calendars do. They default to 1 hour, and you're like, no, I don't want this 1 hour. I want half an hour. And the other thing I say to people is, I'm cool with having a conversation and just chilling out and hanging out with you, but it's done afterwards. And the thing I remind my clients is, you can have a conversation with me and we could talk about how well your kids are doing at school or what change you're making to your house, but you're paying me. So if you want to keep me in this meeting room for 2 hours, and I ain't cheap, you can keep me in this meeting room for 2 hours and tell me about what's wrong with your dog, but I'm going to cost you more than it costs to fix your dog at the vet. So maybe not the best idea for your time. So, and these rules can be put back into these sprint things where you say, okay, everybody gets 5 minutes. There's 5 minutes response time, and then we carry on and we go straight away from the off. Boom. Hassan, you talk. Jason, you talk. Andrew, you talk. Power, you talk. Right, okay, let's talk about those bits. Right, okay, open time. Everybody gets to talk about everything else.
And this shouldn't rub people the wrong way, like what you're saying, because you're just respecting your own time. Because you have other things to do with your life, right? It's not just work. You know, there's family, there's hobbies, there's, your own projects. So it's just a matter of having respect for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you got to remember these mastermind groups, if you piss people off, they're not going to turn up. They can go to another mastermind group and set another one up. The more you give in and the more respectful you are to everybody about their thing, the more you get back from it in the end. If you tell me about your project and I'm really interested and we do a back and forth and all the rest, you never know. Something else might come out of that down the line and all the rest. So be respectful to everybody on what their time is and what their project is as well.
Yes.
There's no bad, well, there are bad projects, but think of it as there are no bad projects sort of thing. Everybody is starting off at a different level than you. Somebody might get some benefit out of you. I have people that have come to work for me straight out of college that have said something and I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And I'm 20 odd years in the industry, 30 odd years in the industry. And I'll listen to somebody and go, you're right, because they've played a game that I've not played, or they've done something that I've not seen, or they're seeing a trend coming up that I've not witnessed. So everybody, even if you don't think you're going to get out of this particular person talking because they're so far behind what your development goals are, you might see something different that you've not seen before. I watch other people on YouTube and see how they're developing their games. And I watch what they're doing. Yeah, I might have done a lot more games than them, but I still might get something out of it. So I always be respectful of what people say until they're idiots. And then, you know.
I think on that note, like active listening is like a good thing to do to like when people are talking, not just having in mind the thing you're going to say. Right, so like it's a habit we can fall into, where somebody else is talking, and what's going on in your head is what you want to say next, rather than actually responding to what they were saying, and actually acknowledging, and asking questions and clarifying what the other person was saying. So building that as a habit of, as somebody else is talking, showing that you're actually listening and actually asking relevant questions will actually help you focus on what the other person is saying, and it's also it's respectful to what to the other person.
Absolutely. And sometimes even questions that might seem mundane to you, or you're afraid to say, just say them. It's nobody's trying to pick you out here. You're not going to affect somebody else by what you say. Ask relevant questions. And to do the active listening, sometimes I find best to go in with notes. What did you do? Just write them down before you walk in. Then therefore you can be respectful of somebody else, and then make notes as people are talking. So if I have a sudden thought, that's great, I'll make a note to the side, and then I'll come to it afterwards. You can really blossom in these things, and they can become very, very good for you to develop, or they can just become a place where you turn up and don't engage. You get as much out from them as you put in.
That note-taking comment, extremely valuable. Really like putting that into practice. It allows you to really focus on what the other person's saying, because then you know you're not going to forget your point, and so you can put it to the side and just focus. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm trying to bring up a new junior developer, a lot of times what I'll do is when they're in the sprint and they're talking about something afterwards, I'll make more notes about that person and what they're talking about. So when they come in next time and we do the sprint next time, I say, oh, how's this? How did you find that? You said you were going to do this. How was this? One, it gives more engagement, and the junior developer comes in quicker into the rest of the group and will engage more and feel more comfortable about talking in that group. And the other thing is it makes them feel valued as a person. It makes their contribution valued heavily in the group.
Like Dave was actually listening to me. He remembered what I was talking about. Yeah.
I feel like it makes the experience better for you too, though, because like you're actually getting something out of it instead of just like trying to loosely remember what it is that person was doing last week. Like if I write it down, and I do this too, like whenever I have meetings with big groups of people, I'll try to write down their name and something about what they were, so I can remember which one was which. Like I can associate a name with the person and the thing that they were doing. So right now, like the thing they were working on and that they're trying to do, and do this even in like these mastermind groups. I'd recommend everybody open up Notepad. Just, it doesn't have to be long. Just like, a line for each person of their name, and like something that you're going to remember about what they were doing. And you give you good context when you go back into the meeting. You're like, oh yeah, no, that was the one working on the 3D game, and the other dude's working on a 2D one, or whatever it is. You kind of it helps make that a little bit easier for me, at least. And I do that not just with masterminds, but like with any big meeting where there are a lot of people and they do introductions. I try to just write down the notes. It also forces me to pay attention instead of getting distracted.
Yeah.
The other thing with note taking, it's different when we were all in person, but now we're doing a lot of this online, is to remind people that you are taking notes. Because sometimes when you're like this,
Absolutely,
to the side of the seat and typing, people are like, well, this guy's not even paying attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, why am I spilling my guts to this person? And they don't care. They're off playing a game or something. Remind them, I'm just taking notes. Whenever I start an interview and it's an online interview, I always turn around to people and say, by the way, if I'm looking off to the side of the screen and I'm tapping away on the keyboard, I'm making notes about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not doing something else. I want to make that clear to you. Because when you're in person, it was a case of you're on your tablet and they're tapping away and they can see you're engaged with them and they can see you're taking notes about what's going on with what they're talking about. But when you're online and doing this off to the side, it sometimes can see a little bit disrespectful. So I always start the meetings with, by the way, I'm going to be taking notes. I am paying attention to you as you're talking.
The nuances of online meetings.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, before the whole pandemic kicked off, I work from home for like the last 10 years. So a lot of times I'm not in an office. It's not new to me. I've got the practice down now.
That's good.
But yeah.
How do you take your notes? Actually, how does everyone here take their notes? Like, I'm curious, are you still doing it by hand, or do you have a special software, or just do you open random WordPads and save them to computer?
I actually have, I have a task list, whether it be Trello or whatever. Mm-hmm. And on Trello, if we're using that as the task software on the Sprint or anything, if I have a client board and I have task boards and all the rest, and then when I'm talking to somebody, I will put notes in comments on those particular tasks. Mm-hmm. So they're relevant for the thing. So I can always go back to that task. So if I'm with a client, for instance, ABC or something like that, I'll open up their client board. And while I'm talking to them, I'm actually putting comments into the Trello board. Therefore, whenever I'm like, oh, what did we do last time with ABC? I go on there, boom, pop it up. There's all the relevant information for me on that person or on that task. I can go back. And so you might want to do this with the Mastermind group. This is an option. I've never done this. This is just an interesting idea. But start a Trello board or something like that. And Trello's free. That's why I pick it out. And then put everybody's name on that and then write what they're doing as they're saying it on that Trello board. So when you come up next week, before you start the Mastermind group, you can pop onto your Trello and go, oh, Hassan's doing this, Powell's doing this, Andrew's doing this, cool. And then you go in and you're like, and everybody's like, this person's so engaged. They know exactly what we were doing from last time. No, you're just organized. You know where to put things.
Sure. That's a really good point. Putting notes on tasks. That's a good one.
On boards. Because I used to keep in just text documents and then they'd end up somewhere and then they'd get deleted eventually, or they're in a Google folder somewhere and they're dated there with the notes next to them. And a lot of times I'd never go back to them and I'd forget about things. But when they're on those task boards, I know they're there. I can find them. I never delete those tasks. They'll go into archive. And it just gives me more relevant information. And also, people, when you're doing these mastermind groups, be respectful of the fact that there's no NDAs going on. People are going to talk about what they're working on. If you hear something that you're like, oh, wow, don't talk about it outside. You know, keep things that you obviously should be a little bit more secret, a little bit more secretive, you know. So
it's
people
what we call friendier.
Yeah, friendiers. Try and keep that in mind when you're in these groups. Because, you don't want to start spilling what other people are working out or how they feel about certain things, or they've had this problem in this company or whatever. That's their business. You're talking to them. This hour is for your communication and have a nice open conversation with them. So not everybody's guarded when they're going in. And also, if somebody says something that you think is like, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that. That's a dumb way of doing this. You should do it this way. There's a much better way of doing it. Turning around to somebody and saying, oh, you're using a list for that. Oh, I found that actually when I did it, I used a queue. And this is the reason I used a queue over a list. And this is why I did it this way and this way and this way. Then that person can go, oh, right. But I found that with the list, I did this. And I never thought of that. Yeah. That way you're having a conversation. You're not pointing at somebody and saying, do this, do that, do that. This person doesn't work for you. You're not in charge. Open conversation.
And if you're actually wrong when you say that, they're probably not gonna just they're not gonna like give the rebuttal, and you won't learn.
Yeah, it's a bad thing basically. If you do that, it can be really harsh.
Jason wants to know if you're saying taking notes is wrong is bad. Then
So saying you are all taking notes wrong is bad. Then what does that even mean?
Yeah, I'm super
it
confused.
was two sentences kind of mixed in. I think it missed a word. But I wanted to share my note-taking strategy, which is even worse. I have two options. I either, if it's something short-term, like I want to remember it by the time I come back to the computer and then I'm going to throw it away, I open up Notepad, I type it out there, and I make it big and put it right in the front of my monitor. I leave it up on my screen until I'm done with it. If it's something longer-term, then I use Milanote for pretty much everything. I just go make a board in there, and then I drop whatever it is into a checklist or some other thing or some set of boards, and it either stays as a simple checklist or grows into something bigger, and then I can share it. I do this like all kinds of stuff now. I keep sending my wife Milanote boards and stuff, like all the links, but it's like a nice, pretty way to share the thing with her, and she can see it. And I use it for almost everything now. It's kind of weird. Let's see. No, Jason Storey has his own note-taking tool now that he recommends. Obsidian, right? The one he's using now.
Yeah. Oh, he uses a few.
Okay, great. It looks like we've got an email. I've got at least one already with all of the emails of the members. That is great. Still got about 30 minutes or so for people to form up groups. If you haven't joined a group yet, now's the time. The link is in the description below. All you have to do is jump in, join Gather. You'll see this little interface. It'll look just like this. Run over to the time and day that works for you. If there's a spot that's got some space on it that's at a time and day, like this one right here, there's 3 people there. Go there, talk to them, see if that group is maybe a good fit. If it is, once you guys have decided that this group is a good fit, we've got 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 or however many people it is. Maybe it's a little smaller or bigger, but I generally recommend about somewhere between 4 to 6 people. But once you've got your group figured out, then just send me the email. Have one person, whoever's going to volunteer to do it, send me the email with everybody's email addresses, and I will send you guys all a big welcome invite with the Discord links and all the stuff for each individual group. I'm going to pop the button in now and let Jason tell you all of the things you've been doing wrong.
I was literally writing in, I missed my story time. Oh,
that
was it.
There we go.
I hate that view. It doesn't let me show like the big thing and then a bunch of people at the same time. It's really frustrating. All right, I'll just stay on the bottom. Welcome, Jason.
Hey.
I don't hear you.
He's muted. Oh, no.
I figure out Restream changed all of our audio and video settings when we refreshed, so it probably did that to you too. Like everything was reset to default.
Yeah, it did change all my settings. There we go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's very annoying when it does that.
Yeah, note taking is a fun topic, and I have a few minutes. I suppose I could drop in. Joking aside, there isn't really a wrong way to take notes because it's whatever works for you. But what I will say is, it's not about note taking. Note taking is not hard. Like anybody can grab a piece of paper and go, "Oh, I've made a note. Okay, now I put it in a box and I'll never look at it again." Mm-hmm. That's not the problem. Note taking isn't a hard thing to do. It's using your notes and actually doing stuff with it that's the hard part. And that's why the skill isn't the taking of it. It's having a resource that you'll use, and that's harder because if you're like me, you'll bounce around between applications. You'll try different things. They won't quite fit for you. You'll think that's got too many features. That's got too few features. It's like that one's online. You're just back and forth. But I find the number one trick is just find a strategy that you'll actually use. So pick something simple and use that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. In my case, I'm using Obsidian, but I'm also using another thing called Flow Launcher. And by combining the two, it means anywhere at any point on my computer, with just my hands on my keyboard, I can open up the note thing, type a note, group by categories, find things, do searches. It's relatively complicated. I'm not going to go into the specific details, but I chose from my workflow that at any point I could open a note on a particular client, on a particular company, on a particular thing. So that's my recommendation is just to figure out what works for you, basically.
No, that's a really good point.
But if I was to say academically, you're all doing it wrong and you should do what I'm doing because it's much more efficient. But that's a whole different conversation.
But no, you're right. That wouldn't work for me. Well, it probably would actually.
Oh, I love that.
I
So,
do
Jason,
story time.
real quick, you only have a few minutes. Do you have thoughts on mastermind groups? There's ideas.
I still go to one. I've been going to one for 2-3 years now at this stage. So yeah, they're
Still
good.
the Wednesday group?
Still going to the Wednesday group. Yeah.
Nice.
I admit it's sometimes I skip it because it's at 4 a.m. for me, and that's a little bit of a struggle. But as a general rule, I do try to make it because it's valuable.
Yep. Having that consistent thing there for a long time. I know the groups that I've had for a long time, and I love it. I get a ton from it, so I think it's useful. And hopefully this time zone thing makes it easier for people to find one that actually fits, and ideally isn't at 4 a.m. for them. Unless 4 a.m. is really when they're most productive and on their stuff. But I'm certainly not. That's like right before I wake up. That's when I'm trying to go back to sleep after the baby woke me up. Right.
Yeah, there's a load of reasons. Like, it's not just so in my case, I'm trying to get better at teaching. So whenever there's questions people have, it's a good, valuable resource for me to figure out how to better phrase things. Because if I keep getting similar questions, then I'm failing at doing that. If I answer questions correctly and I see people actually do the thing that they were asking about, then I must have explained it well. So I can use that as a metric for when I'm teaching things correctly. For other scenarios is when you've got a room full of people doing different projects, they're going to be doing different things than you. One of the people in the group I'm in is like really leaning into ECS stuff that I don't do. And so even though it's not something I'm currently looking at, I'm getting a lot of passive education just by watching what they're doing and the problems they're hitting. Likewise, other people are at different stages of projects. You've got some people who are ready to release prototypes. You've got some people who are just, starting out with ideas. And you've got some people who are nearing the end of a phase of a project. And so you get to see what problems they have and you get to talk it through with them. Like the conversations you'll have when focusing on somebody who's nearing the start of their marketing phase is a very different conversation than the one you'll have with somebody who's deciding if their game's fun or not. So it's not even about whether it's you can directly contribute as a developer or whether it's valuable to you. Just by being there, you're bound to both learn something about the process they're going through, and you'll find it interesting from the perspective of just even if you can contribute as a consumer, because a lot of people are too shy to show their projects. If you're worried that you're not going to have something to contribute, like giving feedback in a safe space where people can talk about their project and not worry about putting it out to the world is just as valuable. Like think about it from your perspective. If you have a project, you've got a room full of people who can give you feedback, not only on what they do or don't like, but usually can give you some kind of guidance because they're also involved vaguely in the same field as you, is quite useful. And a final aspect of that is different people know different people. So if you're working on a project and you need an audio person, you may not know one, but one of the people in the room may know an audio person because they're at a different phase of the project than you, and they might have already done the research to find audio people. And so every so often somebody will say, oh, I know someone who can help you with that. So it's not even just the people in the room you're with. Sometimes there's kind of, you'll get the passive connections from their connections, which is quite nice.
And flow and tools. Like there's a billion ways to build something. Somebody might have a better flow than you, even if you've been doing that thing for a lot longer. Yeah.
I've taken some of the continuous integration stuff from Chris and his systems. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to steal that idea. So yeah, 100%. You steal ideas from what works from other people's systems.
I've seen that for the jobs too, though, just like in the finding people to do different jobs. I've hired people through mastermind groups or done like business collaborations and other types of things through those that I never would have even thought of or considered had I not been in the group, but it just happened to spur the idea. Hell, the whole conference idea was because I was in a group with a friend who runs test conferences. We did GameDev Guild because he runs test conferences. I've been talking to him about it for the last 5 years, and he talks about it. And I'm like, hey, well, we should do a GameDev one together sometime. And after a couple of years, we finally did. Never, ever would have happened if I wasn't in that group with with that specific person. It was just a coincidence of joining that group and being in there with that guy. All right. Well, it looks like we've got a lot of groups forming up here. Oh, I've got a ton of messages. Oh, no, that's just room chat. Okay. So if you guys have built a group, all you got to do once you get into the group and you found it, just have somebody who wants to do the dirty work of finding all the emails. Send me the name and email of everybody that's in your group and the time. So just the time, day, name, and email. And then I will send out the big invites with the Discord links, so you guys can meet and get in there and just chat regularly. Have a place for that. You're welcome to use whatever you want if you don't want to use Discord in those chats, obviously. But I'll try to make it as easy as possible and minimize the amount of setup stuff that you guys have to do. Just send me the list and we'll go from there. I'm just going to run around for a second. Did you have anything else you want to talk about this week, Jason? Anything interesting that popped up?
No, I've been actually very busy. I've had a very productive week, so I've been too distracted with getting that stuff done to really have anything else to talk about. But I will say one thing that did jump out at me is when you were talking about taking notes in meetings, that stood out to me because I'm terrible for that. The amount of times I'm aware that I don't look directly at the camera or who I'm talking to or whatever, I constantly flip between screens. And if someone mentions something, I will instantly Google it right then and there, and I'll take notes about that. So it's not just writing what they're saying. I will like, oh, that's a keyword. I'll type the keyword. I'll do a search. I'll look into it. I'll grab a paragraph, put it into something. I'll annotate what they said. Like I'll go through a whole process. And so frequently people will go, oh, you're like, are you not paying attention? So I go through phases where if I've caught myself doing that, I'll often put the keyboard down and like actively lift my hands off the keyboard and look, just kind of say, yeah, I'm paying attention, comment on what they said. And then I can go back to my fancy note taking because same for me. I have that problem all of the time.
Yeah, I recently noticed that sometimes my camera is a little lower and you can see my hand moving on my mouse. So I need to remember during work meetings to keep it up. So if I do move something on my mouse, I can, because I'm moving my mouse on my other screen right now and nobody can tell unless you can see my hand.
Yeah. It's also being aware if you've got a really loud mechanical keyboard. And you've got a mic that's really close to it and you're tapping away and they're like, what the hell? Is there a train going off in the background? And you're like, no.
That's absolutely me.
Tapping away. Yeah.
I actually switched from a really loud keyboard to a silent one because of that. And now I've got this other one that's not as silent because I wanted to... Actually, I forget why I ordered this one. I got it a long time ago and it came like a year after I ordered it on Kickstarter, I think. And by the time it came, I couldn't remember why I thought it was cool enough to order. So
you're still mechanical though, right?
It is. It's mechanical and it's nice and it lights up. And I put some weird keycaps on it because I wanted to be weird. So I got my Star Wars one right there and my British one right there. And there's a TARDIS in there and some Daleks. You can probably see them.
Nice.
And a Stargate. So I got one of each sci-fi show. Try to mix it up. 3 different sci-fi shows for the 3 buttons I hit often. Escape, F5 to run. So I figured that was the good one for the speeder. And then the portal is for my print screen because I'm constantly taking screenshots for these stupid thumbnails. I don't know if you guys have any keycaps.
I go over the top. I go for this instead. This is my command palette thing I have on my desk. It's called the toolbox, and so I have various keys and shortcuts and dials and things that let me control applications on the side, and then of course the Stream Deck on the other side. So I do that off my keyboard. Although, funnily enough, I don't use them 90% of the time. I use this when I'm editing or when I'm in an app where I can I can do an entire first draft edit with one hand with this because of all of the sliders and dials, and you can have like 150 odd combinations of buttons on it. But for like average day-to-day stuff, I use launching. Like I've said before, that I think we live in a world where the idea of I want to open an app and then having to grab the mouse, move to a point on screen, click a place is just so archaic when my hands are on my keyboard and I can press Alt Space, type 2 letters, press enter, and it'll open literally anything. I can go straight to this meeting. I can go straight to YouTube. I can go straight to opening a particular Unity project. I can literally like launch emulators on a particular game. Whatever it is I want to do, I can usually do it within 4 clicks. So I don't need to actually go anywhere or do anything else.
That's the thing. I have my Stream Deck in a vertical alignment by the side of my mouse, and I just drop my hand to the side of that, and I've got quick keys to every application I use on a regular.
But I have mine right here. I use it to change my lights. That's it.
Me too most of the time. That's
Oh yeah, I've got that as well.
That's
Yeah,
what it's for. That's all it's really for. Yeah.
yeah.
I use it to switch between like bright mode, recording mode, and off mode. And then I had a view for 2 different OBS scenes. I still haven't figured out what to do with it outside of that because like I don't want to reach my hand up there. It's more work than just hitting the Windows key and typing the first letter of whatever the thing is I care about. So
That's why I have it just off to the side of my mouse on my right hand, so I can literally just put my hand to the side and then I'm on it.
Oh,
and Jason's
lost and regained with Jason. Yeah, right to the side of my mouse, I got the screen, kind of like you have in front of you. I got a little tablet there that I mirror onto that monitor behind me, so then I can look at it here, see what's up there, and then tap it if I need to, but then have it be up on the back. Only because that thing was on sale on Black Friday. And I was like, "Ooh, I need one of those. It's on sale on Black Friday." So I got one, and I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do with it." And I was like, "Oh, and make a good mirror for the back screen so I can see what's on there and drag things over there." And now I'm an artist because you saw that canvas tool. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it looks like we got lots of groups forming up. I see lots of people getting together and chatting. Again, if you want to get the formal setup stuff, just send me an email with everybody's email addresses, and I will send you a link. It's just jason@game.courses, and I'll get it all set up so you guys can start meeting. And hopefully these meetups go well, and everybody can start making some real progress on their games and applications and stuff. Like I said, they're super helpful for me, so I think they'll be handy for everybody else.
There you go, Jason. Me and you could just form a group right here.
Yeah.
It's the 2 of us in the corner hiding out.
I just love how well this software works, like the Gather thing. I've done like full conventions in there, and it just worked seamlessly.
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. We used it for the GameDev Guild conference stuff for the expo hall, and it was awesome in there.
Nice.
In the expo hall yet in there?
Sorry?
Have you seen the expo hall in there, Hassan?
I saw a glimpse of it when you were walking around on the outside.
Oh, let me add a
yeah.
Let me give you a teleporter into there real quick. So
Let's do it.
I'll make a teleporter. I'm gonna put it right next to the C, and we'll portal to another room, and we'll go to the big conference room, and we'll go right out to the grass. Okay, and then
we get there.
Add in the portal object. Here, you guys can see it. I'll let everybody see what I'm doing. There we go. Let's make it big. We'll go big. There we go. So we add the portal.
Nice.
Right. Oh, whoops. Let's go hand mode. Drag over here. The objects, the portal. Object, portal. Drop it right there and save. So now at 12 UTC, there should be a portal that appears. There you go. And now you can, oops, went through the wrong one.
Oh my God.
Go through that portal. It'll take you
outside.
to the other room. This is the area that we used for the conference. So we had all the sponsor booths set up. There were chat
awesome.
tables. This was the Unity booth here.
Yeah.
Backtrace. This actually turned into Jason Storey's corner. It's a green
I
area.
recommend reading every then of those books. They're all fantastic.
Yeah.
I believe they all link to Jason's copy page. And then we got a bunch of the asset vendors that came, had little booths here. We got a speaker room, some games, a spot where people were hanging out and chilling during the sessions. Sessions weren't in here, but they were able to do that. And then there's some, I think I closed them off, some secret mazes for giveaways and stuff that you could get through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was definitely a fun experience. So I can't wait to do it again. Pretty cool.
So for the
games. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying for the next one, how do like asset store developers like sign themselves up to be part of it?
That's a good question. So for this one, I just emailed a bunch of asset store developers that I like their stuff. And the ones that emailed back in, in time and replied to everything in time, got in. But I was super slow on it and late. So I don't know what the process will be like next time, but we'll figure something out and hopefully make it easier and less rushed. I had like a dozen people email me afterwards saying, sorry, I just saw this email. I wish I could have made it into that. They're doing it again. I was like, oh, sorry. Like, I mean, I last second kind of spammed it out to all the people that I had on my list, and I was super slow.
What was the attendance like for the whole thing? Like, how many people?
Good question. I don't know the final numbers. There was somewhere between 500 and 1,000, but I'm not sure the
awesome.
total actual count of people that were there. We've been kind of taking a break off of it ever since the thing ended and haven't really gotten back to it. So that's one of the things, figuring out all this stuff for it is on my short list of stuff to do.
Must have been draining, like just putting all of this together on top of everything else you're doing.
It was, yeah, it wasn't too bad, to be honest.
No?
Like
Okay.
it was a lot of work, and it was definitely in depth and stuff. There was a lot to do, but having a couple other people doing it together and having somebody who'd been doing it for years, like I mentioned earlier, it came from a guy who'd been doing test conferences similar that had been meeting within a mastermind group for 5 years. So having that and kind of having a good idea of what to expect made it a lot easier. And then the fact that we talk every week too, so we were able to kind of keep things going and not have to do much extra wasn't bad. I mean, for him and Andreas, it was probably more work, but for me, it was just a lot of talking. And I realized that I don't mind talking. I can just sit there and talk all day long and it doesn't bother me.
So
I
is this
admit
a
I
yearly
didn't
thing?
sleep much over those few days.
What was that?
I didn't sleep much over those few days.
Oh yeah, me either. Yeah, I think next time we do it though, I'm not sure on the details, but I'd like to probably do shorter days, but more days, like 5 days, maybe 6 hours instead of 8-hour sprints, so people can have it not eat up their whole day, but still be able to get in and do stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking my thoughts on Cloud Build 2's pricing. I don't know the pricing, so I don't have any thoughts on it yet. I just wanted to pop that up and say. All right, and then there was a question. We've assembled a group. People are saying you're setting up Discord servers for us. Is this correct? Are we organizing it ourselves? Yes. If you have a group and you want to send me the emails of everybody, I will send you a Discord channel invite. So your own group's channel for voice chats and text chats. Of course, you're welcome to set up your own stuff. If you want to run it on your own, you want to do your meetings in Zoom or something else, you don't have to involve me. Definitely not required. But if you want one of those, just send me an email. I will set it up, and then I'll send out like a calendar invite too. If you guys want to do that on your own and you have a better place you want to manage it, feel free. But I wanted to make sure that was available so that nobody has to go through and try to figure all that out as a step. So it's not a requirement. So gladly do it for you if you send me the stuff. And then, somebody just explaining what the meetups are for. So I'll just leave that up there and anybody can read it. Oh. So you guys got any other things you think we should talk about or mention before we run out of time? We got about 10 minutes left.
So here is a link to the last video I did.
Oh yes, what's the video? Send it over. Let's check it out.
One editor to rule them all. Something to really.
I'm sold on the title
people.
alone.
Yeah, it's using a custom editor and just writing one editor, and then having it come up for all of your. So it starts off talking about a different video, funny enough, but it's one editor that then works for all your particular components you put in, and how it actually comes together without you having to do lots of other bits around it. It's just a little hacky method on what I found. It won't be for everybody. It will annoy the hell out of a lot of people, but I was talking to somebody else about it, and I said, you can actually do this because it would fit their situation. And they went, oh, you should put a video up. So I just put a video up for that. So this is one. And then there was another one about, I put another really clickbaity one up that was quitting the Unity editor. And it just basically talked about how to, a lot of people, when they write a quit option in their game and they say, okay, I've gone through my menu and now I quit the application, Unity doesn't do anything because if you write application.quit, it will sit there. So I actually put up a method of how to write an editor command that will basically stop the editor. So it still quits the game at that point. And again, people can use it or people can't use it. So there's 2 videos I put up since last time we spoke.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny that for the first one, I did something like that before, but I ended up choosing to have a static class that I statically include in my custom editors. So I get to keep 3/4 of the same plumbing, but not have I have a base editor and then a static helper library thing. But for the second one, I do exactly the same as you. I usually create my own version of quit, which calls the I assume editor application is playing flag that you're
yeah. And then you just put false and that does that. And that's a really short little video I put up.
Yeah.
And make a YouTube short on it.
That one, to be honest, is like I do it in every single project. I highly recommend people check that out because that is like, it infuriates me when even just getting a normal application and someone gives you a Unity project and you press escape and it doesn't quit. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
Like it's so annoying. So being able to edit it, just have a generic one-time quit, no matter whether you're an editor or not. Then just having that little thing and calling your own application quit makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it's something again that just never gets told to people. It's just you get to know it after you've built enough tools in the Unity editor and just kind of stumble across it on how it actually works, because you're trying to work out how to automatically play from a tool, and you realize you can actually automatically stop playing from a tool. So you can actually do the reverse to this, and I have it in some things where I have an option in a tool that will play with certain parameters or play in a certain way or something like that, and I just use this in reverse.
I have a similar thing for pinging objects. There was a thing I had where I built a camera system that would track objects and it would like pick the object to look at, and you can make an editor tool which will lock on and change the position of the scene view, so the scene view will follow object. So if you want to, you can have the actual editor tools track objects for you in the scene, which can be useful when you're trying to find a particular thing. And like you can see it here, you have to do that whole thing where you click the hierarchy and then try to find it and then try to click it and go through the. You can literally make a button that says not only just select it, but like physically move the camera and point at it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, before we run out of time, I wanted to make sure that I shared this and mentioned it because I said I was going to at the beginning. This was the asset that I bought earlier this week that's been super, super handy for my multiplayer development. It's this NG sync folders. I linked it down below. And there are a lot of ways to do this same kind of system or same kind of thing. You can do it without an asset. But the way that this asset did it, I thought was kind of interesting. And I want to just show what it does real quick. So I'm going to share a different screen. Let's go to screen sharing. I'll share my window. Where's my actual game window? There it is. Let's see if it. Hold on, I think it's too wide and it's freaking out. Oh, here we'll share a window. We'll go back to the screen. I'll just drag the thing over. I keep forgetting about that. Okay, so here's my my Unity instance, and you can see I've got big project folder, a bunch of junk in there. I've got it all in source control, but I need to have multiple copies of it so that I can test the multiplayer setup. I can either have multiple copies of it or I can do builds every time I want to test it. And this tool here, this NG sync folders, they have a free version. It allows you to have one target that you can go to. Here I've got 2 of them set up. All I have to do is hit scan though. It'll show me the things that are different. And then there's a button to just push it over. Now, another way you can do this is like with you can do the folder sync. I forget what it is, the name of it, but you can map a folder and do a virtual one so that it will kind of copy or work like that as well. And then your asset
symbolic
folder,
links. Is that the?
Yeah, the links. Yeah. But I found that this was really handy because it gave me a lot of control over it. I can just hit the button whenever I want. It's really fast. Once I set up the filtering or the subfolder relative path after the first one, it was super simple. I just hit scan and then I sync whenever I want to test on my other clients, and it just pushes out to both of those Unity instances, and then I can do like my multiplayer test. Then I can hook up like I run this one instance, I just synced it, and you can see I've got let's see if I can grab another instance. I think I have multiple of them up. Yeah, here's one of my 2 clones. I named them weird. I put clone in big letters just to make them very obvious, but as soon as it finishes compiling, I can drag it over. See, I can connect as Jason, and then any second now I should be able to connect as somebody else. As soon as my window finishes reloading, I can drag it over. Here's the other window. Here, let's just snap them side by side. That kind of fits a little bit, not really. But then this one is just automatically synchronized from that tool, or not automatically, but very easily synchronized from that tool, and it's made it very easy for me. And I just wanted to share this tool because it was actually useful for me, and I've been using it quite a bit this last week. So I'll let's add Dave, and then I can go in here and start talking to Dave, and I can go host a game and join in and start battling Dave and all that stuff. But it makes it a lot easier to test, and then I can go through, debug on all of the different clients, see all of the data without having to do a build and having to go through that whole process. So I thought it was interesting. I've used tools like it before, and this one was just the latest and easiest to set up. So I thought I should share it. Hopefully it helps. I don't know if I can find the link to it anymore, though. I've totally lost it. Where'd it go? ng sync folders. There we go. Drag it over there. So that's it. I linked it down below in the chat. Looks like we dropped Jason accidentally somehow. I don't know what happened. All right. Well, I think we're just about out of time. So you guys got anything else you want to talk about or mention before we just say goodbye to everybody? And hopefully people are now in their meetup groups or their mastermind groups and ready to go. Anybody got anything?
Good luck with all the mastermind groups, everybody. I think
it should be fun.
that's the important thing, is like, good luck with it. I think it will be a wonderful experience for a lot of you, and hopefully a good experience for the rest.
Yeah, I think hopefully we'll learn a lot. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Well, shit, I guess I'm out of stuff to talk about, and it's way too hot in here. Like I don't know if you guys can see it on my forehead, but I'm starting to sweat. It's the downside of not being right by the beach like you, Dave. Like, it gets
there are benefits.
Extremely, extremely hot. I'm sweating to death. So I guess we'll say goodbye, and thanks everybody for coming out. We'll have some more more meetup stuff next week, I think. So if you didn't find a group and you still want to get into one, make sure that you come back next week. If you didn't win a prize, we'll come back and definitely have some of those. So thanks again, everybody, and I guess goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Take it easy.